Chapter 1201. The Jade Desolate Continent was a continent about the same size as the Dream Desolate Continent. Originally, the number of gods living on this continent was much more than the Dream Desolate Continent. However, there was no one there at the moment. The vast majority of people had been captured by the Saints, while the remaining few had already fled the Jade Desolate Continent. Suddenly, a figure appeared out of thin air in the center of the Jade Desolate Continent. Immediately, the void behind him split open, and an incomparably huge spatial passage appeared. One figure after another flew out of the spatial passage, and then gathered behind the first person. In less than an hour, hundreds of millions of experts appeared on the Jade Desolate Continent. It was a vast and mighty scene, and the momentum was astonishing. These people were Shenzhen's top experts, and the vast majority were quasi-saint level existences. Even if some of them had not reached the quasi-saint level, their status was extremely high. Apart from them, no one else had entered the Jade Desolate Continent. Because today was the day of Murong Yu's tribulation. Holy tribulation! Murong Yu swept a glance at Zhao Jiqing and the others, and then shouted in a deep voice, "All of you, back off." Immediately, he soared into the sky and stood in the sky. Zhao Jiqing and the others immediately retreated, and finally arrived at the edge of the Jade Desolate Continent. None of them had seen the Holy Tribulation before, but they knew how terrifying it was. The reason why they were all called over was because of Murong Yu's good intentions. Murong Yu wanted to let these people feel the might of the Holy Tribulation in advance. At that time, they would have more confidence in transcending the tribulation. However, no one knew how big the range of the Holy Tribulation was, so they could only retreat far away. Otherwise, once they were drawn into the Holy Tribulation, they would definitely be miserable. Taking a deep breath, Murong Yu raised his head to look at the sky, and then immediately released the power suppression on his body. Rumble, just as he erupted with the aura of a false saint, the sky was immediately covered by a thick layer of tribulation clouds, enveloping the entire Jade Desolate Continent. At this moment, all the lives on the Jade Desolate Continent felt panic and heaviness in their hearts. Furthermore, an aura of death enveloped them. Everyone's expression couldn't help but change. These tribulation clouds wouldn't treat them as tribulation transcendents, right? There could be more than 100 million saints. Their strength was extremely powerful. If they were treated as the ones undergoing the tribulation, this tribulation would immediately send them all to the Western Paradise. As their expressions changed, they retreated again and again. In the end, they left the Jade Desolate Continent and entered the Divine Sea before stopping. At this time, looking from afar, the entire Jade Desolate Continent was shrouded by the black tribulation clouds. It was like an iron pot that was placed upside down on the Jade Desolate Continent. An aura that could make one's soul tremble continued to grow stronger, intimidating the myriad worlds. Zhao Jiqing and the other four girls stood together and looked at Murong Yu in the sky, who was preparing to transcend the tribulation. Their faces were full of worry. He hasn't even transcended the tribulation yet, but his aura is already so heavy and oppressive. Wasn't the saint's world a little too terrifying? Nothing will happen to the big pervert, right? Kurlan grabbed Yu Mengqing's hand tightly and said worriedly, "Don't worry. Although the tribulation is terrifying, Murong." Zhao Jiqing comforted Kurlan. However, before his voice fell, a black tribulation lightning the size of a small mountain descended from the thick tribulation clouds. Boom! At the same time the black tribulation lightning struck down, a loud explosion sounded. Immediately, Zhao Jiqing was so shocked that she stopped talking. The others didn't have it easy either. Their bodies trembled and their souls trembled. It was to the extent that some people even staggered and fell to the ground in fright, making them look like a joke. However, no one laughed at him, because each and every one of them was frightened stiff. The only one who wasn't frightened was Murong Yu. From the cultivation world to the quasi-saint realm, Morongyu had to welcome the baptism of the heavenly tribulation every time he broke through a realm. However, as his physical body gradually grew stronger, those heavenly tribulations had no effect on him. Therefore, every time he went through the tribulation, he would go out and float in the air, allowing the tribulation lightning to strike down while he withstood it by himself. However, his usual heavenly tribulation and tribulation lightning were white in color. But now the tribulation was actually black? When he saw the black tribulation lightning, Murongyu's heart tightened. However, he felt that the tribulation lightning didn't have any power. Therefore, he didn't put up any defense at all and allowed the tribulation lightning to strike his body. Chi-la, the clothes on his body were instantly shattered and turned into fine powder. However, other than that, he didn't have any injuries on his body. Even his hair was still dancing wildly like before. His black hair was dancing wildly. With a thought, Morongyu used his power to create a set of clothes and draped it over his body. Outside the Jade Desolate Continent, there were over 100 million experts staring at him without blinking. Moreover, there were many female gods among them. He didn't have a fetish for nudity. Seeing that Morongyu had safely passed through the tribulation lightning, everyone in the distance breathed a sigh of relief. However, at the same time, they were shocked and horrified in their hearts. The explosion just now had almost shattered their souls, let alone the tribulation lightning. They all asked themselves, could they have withstood that tribulation lightning? The answer of the vast majority was that they could have withstood it. However, even if they had withstood it, they would have been injured. Moreover, it would have consumed a lot of their resources. Like Morongyu, no one could have withstood it as if nothing had happened. There are still 80 tribulation lightning bolts. A 10th stage quasi-saint looked at the thick tribulation clouds with flickering eyes with a solemn expression. There were only 81 tribulation lightning bolts in the tribulation. As long as one could pass through these 81 tribulation lightning bolts, one could reach the false saint realm. As for Morongyu, he had only passed through the weakest first tribulation lightning. No matter what kind of tribulation it was, each one was more terrifying than the last. Boom, 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 boom. Black tribulation lightning the size of a small hill continued to strike down, causing many experts outside the continent to turn pale. Their souls kept trembling as if they were about to collapse. All of them kept retreating in fear. However, as the person involved, Morongyu, stood in the sky as if nothing had happened, allowing the tribulation lightning to strike his body. He didn't put up any defense, nor did he feel any pain. Even the people in the distance saw that he was smiling. Perhaps only a freak like the Holy Master can pass through the tribulation so easily? Only he can pass through the tribulation with a smile on his face. The people in the distance were frightened. Every time the tribulation lightning struck, they had to retreat for a long time. However, when they saw Morongyu's expression, they were all ashamed. The Holy Master is indeed the Holy Master. The gap between him and us is too big. The 10th stage quasi-saint and the gods at the peak of the divine grade looked solemn. They all sighed in their hearts at the huge gap between them and Morongyu. Even Morongxian's expression changed. Of course, he knew that an ordinary saint's tribulation wouldn't be so terrifying. The power of Morongyu's first tribulation lightning was equivalent to the power of the last few tribulation lightning strikes in the Holy World. The 10th tribulation lightning. At this moment, the experts of Shenzhen had already reached the depths of the Divine Sea. Boom! After a loud explosion, a black tribulation lightning the size of a mountain struck down. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. This tribulation lightning was more than 10 times bigger than the previous ones. Its power and aura were more than 10 times stronger as well. Its speed was the same as well. Therefore, Morongyu didn't even have time to react before he was struck by the tribulation lightning. Morongyu instantly suffered a tragic fate. At this moment, Kurlan and the others couldn't help but exclaim. The other disciples of Shenzhen also opened their mouths in shock. This was because they saw that Murong Yu, who was originally suspended in the void, was struck directly into the depths of the ground by the tribulation lightning and disappeared from everyone's sight. Previously, Murong Yu resisted it with ease, but now, he was struck deep into the ground? Wasn't the gap too big? However, even though they were all shocked, no one rushed up to him. This was because the tribulation clouds in the sky had yet to dissipate. If the tribulation clouds hadn't dissipated, it meant that the person undergoing the tribulation hadn't died yet. Moreover, Murong Yu's soul jade slip in the hands of Zhao Jiqing and the others didn't shatter either. Bang! Just as Murong Yu was struck deep into the ground, he broke through the ground and flew up. From afar, he looked embarrassed. A mistake, a mistake. At this moment, Murong Yu's entire body was charred black. His black hair stood on end and he pointed angrily at the sky. However, Murong Yu's physical body was considered strong. If it had been anyone else, they would have been blown to smithereens. Murong Yu had indeed made a mistake. He didn't expect the 10th tribulation lightning to be dozens of times more powerful than the 9th tribulation lightning. Moreover, it was extremely fast. By the time he reacted, his entire body had been struck deep into the ground. This is only the 10th tribulation lightning, and it's already so powerful. There are still 60 to 70 tribulation lightning after this. Murong Yu finally became serious. Moreover, he vaguely felt that this tribulation would be the biggest crisis he had ever faced in his life. After all, his soul and cultivation had both broken through to the sage realm. The more powerful one was, the more terrifying the tribulation would be. The tribulation lightning continued to strike. Before the 20th tribulation lightning, the tribulation lightning didn't cause any injury to Murong Yu. However, after the 20th tribulation lightning, the power of the tribulation lightning skyrocketed again. At this time, Murong Yu had already begun to use his power to resist the tribulation lightning. After the 30th tribulation lightning, Murong Yu's flesh snake began to have wounds. However, with the recovery of his life force, it wasn't a threat to him. However, when the tribulation lightning reached the 40th tribulation lightning, Murong Yu began to feel that it was a tragedy. The tribulation lightning's power skyrocketed and its speed skyrocketed. Moreover, the distance between each tribulation lightning was shrinking. It was simply one after another. In other words, as soon as this tribulation lightning struck, the one behind it would follow. Before Murong Yu's injuries were completely healed, he was injured again. Chapter 1202. It's the 60th bolt of tribulation lightning. The Divine Lord is truly powerful. He's still not using any treasures or divine artifacts, and is only using his physical body to resist. Bolts of tribulation lightning continuously struck down from the jade desolate continent, bombarding Murong Yu's body. After taking on the frightening tribulation lightning head-on, Murong Yu was sent flying like duckweed. However, from start to finish, Murong Yu hadn't used any divine tools to block the heavenly tribulation. It was precisely because of this that the experts of Shenzhen were shocked. If it were me, even if I had a divine artifact or treasure, I probably wouldn't be able to resist. A 10th-level quasi-saint looked at Murong Yu with a pale face and whispered to the people beside him. The high-level quasi-saint beside him shook their heads, their faces pale. I'm afraid we won't be able to withstand such a heavy heavenly tribulation. The Divine Lord's physical body and cultivation are much stronger than ours. However, only the Divine Lord can trigger such tribulation lightning. According to the records, an ordinary divine tribulation would at most have the power of the 30th tribulation of a Divine Lord, and that's only for those with extraordinary talent. An ordinary person's divine tribulation would only have the power of the 20th tribulation of a Divine Lord. A 10th-level quasi-saint said in a deep voice, his eyes flickering. This person was the head of the Fan family, Fangor. The reason he said this was because he didn't want these saints to be frightened by Murong Yu's divine tribulation. Moreover, he had a basis for saying this. At this moment, Murong Yu's body was charred black from the lightning strikes, and he was groaning in his heart. He didn't use any divine artifacts to resist the power of the tribulation. However, he was constantly using his life force to heal his injured body. Otherwise, his body would have been blasted to pieces long ago. However, the speed at which his life force healed his body was clearly not as fast as the speed at which he was injured. Moreover, what made Murong Yu the most speechless was that although the tribulation lightning looked terrifying, it contained great power. However, his body was no longer able to absorb the power of the tribulation lightning. According to Lu Haozong, his physical body had already reached the limit of the divine world. If he continued to break through, he could only condense a divine body. However, it was impossible to condense a sacred body in the God realm. This made Murong Yu feel that it was a pity. If he could condense a holy body, the power of these thunderbolts could increase his physical body by several small realms. Boom! When the 70th bolt of tribulation lightning struck down, Murong Yu was once again smashed deep into the ground. At the same time, Shengzhen's group in the distance also exclaimed. Because they clearly saw that just now, Murong Yu's body had been blasted open one after another, shocking, bone-deep wounds. Blood splattered everywhere. It was extremely horrifying. His entire body had been bombarded with wounds so deep that his bones could be seen. Blood was gushing out. At this moment, Murong Yu felt as if all the flesh and blood in his body had been destroyed. There was no sign of life, and all the bones in his body had been shattered. Even a large part of his meridians had been shattered. If it was anyone else, this kind of injury would definitely be fatal. Even for the current Murong Yu, it was extremely dangerous. This was because at this moment another bolt of tribulation lightning struck down. The 71st bolt of tribulation lightning was more than 10 times more powerful than the 70th bolt of tribulation lightning. The 70th bolt of tribulation lightning had already caused him to be severely injured, let alone the even more powerful 71st bolt of tribulation lightning. If this bolt of tribulation lightning struck down, Murong Yu's physical body might be blasted into smithereens. Even if his soul had already become a sage, it would be smashed into smithereens, and he would be deader than dead. I definitely can't let this bolt of tribulation lightning strike down, Murong Yu roared in his heart. Finally, he took out the Hichu Luoshu. The Hichu Luoshu expanded against the wind. It quickly expanded and rolled towards the bolt of tribulation lightning that was striking down. It attempted to block the bolt of tribulation lightning. There was no need to doubt the power of the Hichu Luoshu. However, Murong Yu could only use a small part of its power. Even so, he successfully blocked the bolt of tribulation lightning for a few breaths of time. After a few breaths of time, the Hichu Luoshu was blasted away by the bolt of tribulation lightning. However, although the Hichu Luoshu did not completely block the power of the bolt of tribulation lightning, it still managed to offset some of its power. In the end, when the bolt of tribulation lightning struck Murong Yu's body, Murong Yu had already used these few breaths of time to successfully repair his physical body. Therefore, he easily blocked the bolt of tribulation lightning. However, this was only the 71st bolt of tribulation lightning. There were still 9 more to come. With a thought, Murong Yu had already repaired his injured physical body. At the same time, the Hichu Luoshu flew back and floated above his head. After making all these preparations, the 72nd bolt of tribulation lightning struck down. However, this time, Murong Yu operated the Hichu Luoshu with all his strength. After offsetting a portion of the tribulation lightning's power, he successfully resisted it. Very soon, he welcomed the 80th bolt of tribulation lightning. Zhao Jiqing and the other 4 girls of the Jade Desolate Continent leaned against each other and held hands. Each of them had a nervous expression as they looked at Murong Yu, who was undergoing the tribulation in front of them. Each of them could feel the sweat on each other's palms. They could even feel that the hands they were holding were slightly trembling. "It's all right, it's definitely all right," Zhao Jiqing said in a deep voice. She seemed to be comforting Yu Mengqing and the others, but also seemed to be comforting herself. Like them, the palms of Shenzhen's people were sweating. Each of them looked at Murong Yu with incomparable nervousness. These were the last 2 bolts of tribulation lightning. On the 79th bolt of tribulation lightning, Murong Yu had already brought out the Yin-Yang cauldron. The Yin-Yang cauldron and the Hichu Luoshu, these 2 super magical treasures, were barely able to block the tribulation lightning. Even so, the tribulation lightning almost blasted Murong Yu into a pile of mud. The power of the 80th bolt of tribulation lightning was definitely more than 100 times stronger than the 79th bolt. However, perhaps these were the last 2 bolts of tribulation lightning. It had been a long time since the 79th bolt of tribulation lightning. However, it didn't descend. Perhaps it was to give the person undergoing the tribulation time to prepare? The tribulation clouds in the sky became thicker and thicker. Waves of terrifying pressure unceasingly spread out, enveloping half of the sky and suppressing all living things to the point that they trembled. Far away in the jade desolate continent, Shenzhen's people felt incomparable pressure in their hearts. Their souls were slightly trembling under this terrifying pressure, as if they could be destroyed at any time. Boom! All of a sudden, there was a loud explosion in the sky. An incomparably huge black tribulation lightning the size of a divine mountain appeared out of thin air. It tore through the void, locked onto Murong Yu, and blasted down. Plop! 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 The instant this black tribulation lightning appeared, the hearts of Shenzhen's experts in the depths of the divine ocean trembled. Then, they involuntarily fell to the divine ocean. Although the remaining portion didn't fall, they didn't feel any better. Their faces were pale, and their eyes were filled with fear. The people far away in the jade desolate continent were already like this, let alone the person involved, Murong Yu. The instant that tribulation lightning appeared, Murong Yu's heart was suddenly enveloped by an incomparably strong aura of death. There was no time to think at all. Hichu Luoshu and the Yin-Yang cauldron soared into the sky, affecting the divine mountain-sized tribulation lightning that came crashing down. At the same time, with a thought, the Yin-Yang bow and the heaven-shaking arrow that he hadn't used for a long time appeared in his hands. He drew the bow and knocked the arrow. In less than 1/10 of an instant, 3 heaven-shaking arrows were shot out by him. Rumble! The heaven-shaking arrows arrived first. Before Hichu Luoshu and the Yin-Yang cauldron, they collided with the terrifying black tribulation lightning. After an earth-shattering explosion, the 3 heaven-shaking arrows that contained terrifying power were directly sent flying. The black tribulation lightning continued to strike down, but its power was reduced by less than 1/10. At this time, the Yin-Yang cauldron had also won. The flame of primal chaos burned crazily, and the void was constantly being annihilated. However, the flame of primal chaos that could annihilate the void didn't have much effect on the black tribulation lightning. When the flame of primal chaos and the tribulation lightning collided, the flame of primal chaos was quickly annihilated. Yes, the flame of primal chaos was annihilated. One could imagine how terrifying the tribulation lightning was. However, although the flame of primal chaos was being annihilated quickly, it also consumed the tribulation lightning at the same time. However, the consumption was extremely small. It was probably when 100 portions of the flame of primal chaos were annihilated, only 1 portion of the tribulation lightning was consumed. However, there was a lot of flame of primal chaos. Therefore, when the Yin-Yang cauldron was sent flying, the tribulation lightning's power was also consumed by about 20%. In addition to the 10% that was consumed by the heaven-shaking arrows, the tribulation lightning was now only 70% of its original power. At this time, Hichu Luoshu had already rushed forward. Unlike the Inyang cauldron and the heaven-shaking arrows, Hichu Luoshu was like a painting that blocked the sky above Murong Yu's head, preventing the tribulation lightning from striking down. Moreover, under Murong Yu's full control, Hichu Luoshu and the tribulation lightning engaged in the most tragic battle. Hichu Luoshu was constantly being bombarded, but Hichu Luoshu was fine. However, Murong Yu was not. The overflowing damage was constantly bombarding Murong Yu, causing his mind to be constantly injured and his soul to sway unsteadily. It was soul-stirring. However, even with Murong Yu's full control, he was still not the tribulation lightning's opponent. Suddenly, Hichu Luoshu was sent flying. The remaining tribulation lightning bombarded Murong Yu's body. Bang! After an explosion, Murong Yu's entire body exploded. Boom! Crack! Crack! The moment Murong Yu's body exploded, the soul jade slip in the hands of Zhao Jiqing and the others shattered at the same time, turning into a pile of powder. The soul jade slip shattered. Murong Yu had fallen. Murong Yu had failed to pass the tribulation? He had actually fallen? And he had fallen in the penultimate heavenly tribulation. In an instant, everyone who had Murong Yu's soul jade slip was stunned and shocked. Each and every one of them looked at the jade desolate continent in front of them with sluggish expressions, unable to react for a moment. Chapter 1203. Murong Yu had fallen. No! The first to react was Zhao Jiqing. Her face was pale as she screamed. Her figure swayed and she fainted. After Zhao Jiqing, the other women were the same. They all screamed and fell down. Before, Murong Yu also had the experience of the soul jade slip shattering. But at that time, they didn't see Murong Yu fall with their own eyes. Therefore, they all had hope in their hearts and were not as excited as they were now. But now that they saw Murong Yu turn into ashes with their own eyes, no matter how strong they were, they couldn't bear this blow. The 5 women all fainted with excitement, and Murong Xian, Gu Kai, and the others were almost scared to death. But compared to Zhao Jiqing and the other women, they were calmer. With a flash, Murong Xian came to Zhao Jiqing's side and reached out to support her. At the same time, he also released a force to wrap around Yu Mengqing and the other women to prevent them from falling to the ground. Immediately, Murong Xian and the others reacted and came up to support a person. As for the others, they could only stare in front of them in shock. After seeing the intense reaction of Zhao Jiqing and the others, they realized that Murong Yu had fallen. In an instant they were shocked by the news. "Big brother, what should we do?" "Father, Murong Xian supported Yu Mengqing and looked at Murong Xian with a pale face. Murong Xian was the strongest among them. Unknowingly, Murong Xian and the others had already regarded Murong Xian as the backbone. Murong Xian didn't speak, just looked at the continent in front of him with a gloomy face. He couldn't believe the fact that Murong Yu had fallen. But their soul jade slips were indeed shattered. And now Murong Yu was really bombarded to the point that there was nothing left. They saw Murong Yu fall with their own eyes. Even if they didn't believe it, what could they do? "Senior Marshal Brother, Master won't die. I believe in him." Gu Kai supported Situ Xian, who had faintly woken up. Although his face was pale, his expression was firm. At this time, Zhao Jiqing and the others had all woken up. Hearing Gu Kai's words, they shed tears. They also wanted to believe that Murong Yu did not fall, but the facts told them that was impossible. However, just as they were crying, they saw a smile appear on Murong Xian's face. Seeing this scene, Zhao Jiqing was instantly enraged. Her father had fallen, and as the son, he was actually smiling? This unfilial son. However, just as Zhao Jiqing was about to berate him, Murong Xian said, "Gu Kai is right. Father did not fall." Before Zhao Jiqing and the others could react, Murong Yu continued, "Look, the tribulation clouds in the sky have not dissipated. If Father had really fallen, those tribulation clouds would have dissipated long ago." Hearing this, everyone looked at the sky. Just like before, the tribulation clouds were still so thick, and the atmosphere was still so oppressive. Then what do we do now? Murong Lin looked at Murong Xian, still a little apprehensive. Wait. Father will not fall so easily. Something special must have happened to him now. We can't help, we just need to wait. I believe Father will return soon. Murong Xian said with a firm expression. So, everyone looked at the distant jade desolate continent in the divine sea. No one approached to check. They were worried that if they went over, it would cause the tribulation to mutate. At that time, it would harm others and themselves. Although they were worried now, they knew that Murong Yu had not fallen, so it was much better than before. Then, did Murong Yu really fall? What was going on with him? Under the situation of using all kinds of magic treasures, his body was still shattered? Murong Yu was now encountering an unprecedented crisis. The power of the heavenly tribulation from before was beyond his imagination. It was so strong that his current physical body couldn't withstand it at all. However, if it was only like this, it was not an unprecedented crisis for Murong Yu. This tribulation was the 80th tribulation lightning. Murong Yu originally thought it was like this. However, he now knew that the tribulation lightning was the 80th tribulation lightning, which was also the 81st tribulation lightning. The two tribulation lightning blended together and blasted Murong Yu, almost taking his life. Moreover, the last tribulation lightning was aimed at the soul. At the same time Murong Yu's body was shattered, his soul was also bombarded by the tribulation lightning. In such an instant, he was unprepared and his soul was directly shattered. At this time, if Zhao Jiqing and the others approached the place where he was transcending the tribulation, they would see his shattered soul. However, although his soul was shattered, it did not turn into ashes. Murong Yu had not fallen yet. He was still working hard to fuse his soul. His soul was blasted into billions of fragments. He was now piecing it together piece by piece and then slowly repairing it. Fortunately, it was not directly annihilated. Otherwise, I would really be dead. While piecing together his soul, Murong Yu thought in his heart and cursed. Even Hichu was wrongly accused by Murong Yu. Because Hichu did not tell him that the last tribulation of the Holy Tribulation was actually a soul attack. In fact, Murong Yu blamed Hichu wrongly. Under normal circumstances, the Holy Tribulation did not target the soul. The reason why Murong Yu's Holy Tribulation was like this was probably because his soul had broken through to become a sage. Because there were too few people whose soul had broken through to become a sage, even Hichu did not know that there would be such a heavenly tribulation. However, Hichu was still wrong. If it were other experts whose soul had broken through, their holy tribulation would not be like this. The reason why Murong Yu's holy tribulation was like this was because of his soul. The soul of the hell ice flame was such a heaven-defying existence. The heavenly tribulation would definitely not let him go. His soul seems to have mutated again? Murong Yu, who was in the midst of repairing, suddenly exclaimed. Because just now, he suddenly realized that his slowly fusing soul seemed to be of a higher level than the hell ice flame. It had turned black. This is the color of chaos. Murong Yu was shocked. His soul had turned into chaos? Was there such a soul? Murong Yu immediately asked Hichu. Hichu did not know either. Because the souls of Murong Yu's previous chaotic celestial bodies were ordinary souls. There was no mutation at all. What will happen if the soul mutates into chaos? Murong Yu was a little nervous. His soul turning into the hell ice flame was already very powerful and heaven-defying. If it directly mutated into chaos, Murong Yu could not imagine how terrifying it would be. Could it be that the final form of a chaotic celestial body is chaos? Otherwise, if the body is only strong and the soul is not as strong as the body, it will not be able to unleash the full power of the chaotic celestial body. Murong Yu frowned slightly. Hichu did not comment on this. Because he did not know either. As the soul fragments continued to fuse, Morong Yu was more and more certain that his soul had mutated again. Moreover, at this time, he even felt that his soul was connected to chaos. It was the same as the tree of life. However, the tree of life was only rooted in chaos. His soul was connected to the endless chaos and even fused together. It was as if his soul was a part of chaos. Time passed slowly and the tribulation clouds in the sky slowly dissipated. Morong Yu's tribulation had passed. However, watching the tribulation dissipate, Zhao Jiqing and the others were worried again. That was because they still had no news of Morong Yu. Did this mean that Morong Yu was gradually losing his vitality? Everyone was very anxious, but they did not know where to start and could only worry. "I'm fine, just a little accident. You don't have to worry." When the tribulation clouds completely dissipated and everyone was anxious, Morong Yu's voice suddenly sounded in the ears of Zhao Jiqing, Morong Xian, and the others. "What happened? What's wrong with you?" Zhao Jiqing and the others hurriedly asked, but they did not hear a reply from Morong Yu. "My soul is now broken and I'm in the process of reforming it. It's very strenuous to transmit sound and this will last for a long time. You guys go back to Shenzhen first. I'll be fine." After half a day, Morong Yu's voice sounded again. However, how could Zhao Jiqing and the others who were worried go back? After the others learned that Morong Yu was fine, they left the Jade Desolate Continent one after another. Because there was nothing they could do to help. On the other hand, Morong Yu's family, Fan Tong, and some other brothers and friends had not left the Jade Desolate Continent. Just like that, 1,000 years passed. As time passed, Morong Yu did not find it so strenuous to speak. However, he only occasionally reported to Zhao Jiqing and the others that he was safe. The rest of the time, he worked hard to fuse and repair his broken soul. Finally, on this day, Morong Yu fused the last fragment into his soul. Boom! The moment he fused all the soul fragments, Morong Yu felt his soul shake. In the next moment, he entered a vast and unfamiliar space. Endless primal chaos. Immediately, Morong Yu cried out in surprise. Because he saw a pure and powerful primal chaos airflow constantly flying around him like a torrent. The primal chaos energy was hundreds of millions of times purer than the primal chaos. In just a moment, Morong Yu felt that his soul and body had become much purer. However, although his soul and physical body had been strengthened, he still felt an enormous pressure coming at him. Whoosh! His body shook fiercely, and Morong Yu withdrew from the endless primal chaos. Then, he was shocked to find that his body, which had not improved for a long time, had become even more powerful. It was at least 10% stronger than before, and so was his soul. What a pity! Morong Yu sighed. If he could stay in the endless primal chaos for a little longer, his body might have reached the strength of a sacred body. Chapter 1204. Morong Yu's heart was filled with regret. However, he didn't know that he'd just communicated with the endless primal chaos. This kind of opportunity was hard to come by. No matter how powerful one was, it was difficult to communicate with the chaos. Except for experts of certain realms who might be able to. However, there were too few experts who could communicate with the endless chaos. With a thought, a huge amount of chi of heaven and earth gathered. In the next moment, Morong Yu's body, which had been shattered for thousands of years, was condensed again. My body is at least 10% stronger than before. After successfully condensing his body, Morong Yu was surprised to find out. It could be said that his body had surpassed the level of a holy artifact, but it had not reached the level of a holy body. In other words, it was somewhere between the two. Morong! Hooligan! Seeing Morong Yu appear in sight, Zhao Jiqing and the other 4 girls immediately cheered excitedly. In a flash, they had already rushed over. I'm sorry to have worried you. Morong Yu stretched out his big hands and hugged the 5 girls in his arms with a guilty look on his face. Big bad guy, you made us worry. Yu Mengqing looked at Morongyu with tears in her eyes. The other girls also had tears in their eyes. Morongyu felt guilty and could only keep comforting the girls. However, in the end, the 5 girls actually burst into tears. This made Morongyu feel helpless. He was not afraid of anything except for his women's tears. As long as his women cried, he would be at a loss and wouldn't know what to do. Okay, aren't I fine? I won't die so easily. The juniors are watching. Morongyu felt helpless and kept winking at Morongxian and the others. Morongxian and the others didn't know whether to laugh or cry. In many aspects, their father was very strong and domineering. However, in this aspect, of course, they all knew that this was a sign of their father's love for them. Otherwise, if they didn't love each other, Morongyu would have sent Zhao Jiqing and the others flying with a slap. Irritating, Morongxian and the others helplessly came forward to help persuade them. In the end, after using all their means, they finally calmed down Zhao Jiqing and the other girls. As soon as the 5 girls quieted down, Kurlan immediately glared at Morongyu and questioned him loudly, "Big pervert, why do you have to do this?" Zhao Jiqing and the others also glared at Morongyu with murderous intent. Morongyu's face immediately. Women, aren't their expressions changing a little too quickly? However, Morongyu didn't say anything. Instead, he weakly said, "There's a small problem." Little? Your soul jade slip is a big problem? What exactly is a big problem? Yu Mengqing glared at Morongyu. She was just short of giving him a few punches. Aren't we undergoing the holy tribulation? It's normal for some accidents to happen. Morongyu defended himself weakly. However, under the insistence of Zhao Jiqing and the others, his defense was useless. In the end, after being bombarded by the 5 girls for a long time, Morongyu was dizzy from the bombardment. They returned to Shenzhen. At this time, Morongyu could ascend to the holy world as long as he willed it, because he already felt the holy world calling to him. The holy world was waiting for him, but the human race, the demon race, and even the holy race might be waiting for him. Once he ascended, they might try to kill him. Therefore, Morongyu's current goal was not to ascend. Before he had absolute confidence, he would not ascend. In any case, his lifespan was very long now. In the following time, Morongyu used the excuse of consolidating his cultivation to stay with his family. He did the things he loved and guided the disciples of Morongxian and Shenzhen in their cultivation. His days were very comfortable. However, perhaps because they knew that Morongyu was about to ascend to the holy world, once he ascended, they did not know when they would be able to see each other again. Therefore, the 5 girls were very reluctant to part with him now. Especially Kurlan and Siduxian, who joined later, they were even more obsessed with Morongyu. Every time, they would ask until they were exhausted. However, their strength was too high. It was extremely difficult to have a child. Therefore, no matter how hard Morongyu worked, he did not see the seed germinate. On this day, Morongyu gathered all the quasi-saint in Shenzhen. These quasi-saint were all going to undergo tribulation. Moreover, the majority of Shenzhen were going to undergo tribulation. Morongyu firmly believed this because he had become the lord of the holy world and could use the resources of the holy world at will. Although Morongyu would not monopolize all the resources, it was normal for him to be attracted to Shenzhen. With the accumulation of these resources, the strength of Shenzhen's disciples would increase rapidly, and there would be people who could undergo tribulation. Today, Morongyu was going to talk about his experience of holy tribulation. Although his holy world was too terrifying, at least it was experienced. Everyone here has seen me undergo tribulation with their own eyes. Some of you have probably been scared by the terrifying tribulation. Before that, I can tell you that if you really do so, then you are not worthy of being Shenzhen's disciples and are not worthy of being called cultivators. As cultivators, we are supposed to go against the heavens. Saints are stronger than gods, and their lifespans are longer than gods. Once you reach the undying indestructible realm, you will be immortal. That's true immortality. If there is anyone among you who is not willing to pursue true immortality, then you can leave now. At this point, Murong-yu stopped and looked at the 100 million quasi-saint with shining eyes. No one backed out. Just as he said, there was no cultivator who did not want to pursue greater power and a longer lifespan. And immortality was the pursuit of all cultivators. Very good. You all want to pursue immortality. But I can tell you that only a portion of you can reach the true undying indestructible realm. Holy tribulation is a threshold, and talent and hard work are also key. Let's not talk about talent and hard work for now. Today we will only talk about holy tribulation. Many people are wondering if every holy tribulation is as terrifying as the one I went through. Murong-yu paused for a moment, swept his gaze across the crowd, and continued, "What I can tell you is that your heavenly tribulations are far inferior to mine. Just like immortal tribulation and God tribulation, heavenly tribulation varies from person to person. You don't have to worry because you are Shenzhen's disciples. Before you go through your tribulation, we Shenzhen will do our best to help you succeed. Next, I will talk about my experience. But because my holy tribulation is different from yours, you can use it as a reference." In the following time, Murong-yu shared some of his experiences with the heavenly tribulation. He was often struck by lightning and had the most experience with heavenly tribulation. Aside from sharing the divine tribulation, Murong-yu also shared his cultivation experience, as well as the differences between saints and gods. When he talked about the benefits, many quasi-saint even sat down and entered a state of cultivation. This was because they all had an epiphany. Murong-yu even saw that some experts who had been stagnant at the peak of level 10 quasi-saint vaguely revealed a trace of saint aura. These people had 1 foot in the threshold of saint. It wouldn't take long. After Shenzhen and Murong-xian, more false saints would emerge. What, you are going to go through holy tribulation? When the 5 women heard that Murong-xian was going to go through heavenly tribulation in a few days, their faces immediately turned pale and exclaimed, "Xiao Xian, are you really going to go through heavenly tribulation? Don't you want to think about it? Anyway, you still have a long lifespan. When it's about time, you can go through heavenly tribulation." Yu Mengqing grabbed Murong-xian's hand and said with a worried expression. Hearing this, Murong-xian didn't say anything, but Murong-yu's face darkened. As a stepmother, Yu Mengqing was really too outrageous. However, what made Murong-yu not know whether to laugh or cry was that in addition to Yu Mengqing, Mu Liue, Kurlan, and the others were also the same. Only Zhao Jiqing pondered and didn't say anything. You are not doing this for his own good. You are delaying him, understand? Murong-yu couldn't stand it anymore and said, "Shut up." Yu Mengqing and the other 3 women looked at Murong-yu and said in unison. Murong-yu immediately shut up. In front of outsiders, these women were gentle and considerate. But at home, they were tigresses that couldn't be provoked. Otherwise, Murong-yu wouldn't be able to sleep in their beds, let alone sleep with them. When? At this moment, Zhao Jiqing suddenly said, 100 years later. 100 years should be enough for me to reach the pinnacle and undergo the tribulation. Murong-xian said without hesitation. Yu Mengqing and the other 3 women looked at Zhao Jiqing in shock. Big sister, you actually agreed to little Xian's tribulation? The tribulation is so terrifying, if something happens to little Xian. As a cultivator, you should have the spirit to face difficulties head-on. The God realm is not our stage. Do you want to see your lifespans run out and die? Not just little Xian, but also me and you. Once the time is right, we will all undergo the tribulation. Otherwise, unless you are willing to be separated from your bones. Zhao Jiqing looked at the 4 women and said calmly. Hearing this, the 4 women were speechless. Murong-yu, on the other hand, nodded repeatedly. Zhao Jiqing lived up to her title as the big sister. She was more capable of making decisions. Thank you, Mother. Murong Xian hurriedly thanked her. The reason why he was so happy was because if Zhao Jiqing and the others didn't agree to him undergoing the tribulation, he would have an inner demon during the tribulation. And once an inner demon appeared, it would be fatal to him. All right, but before you undergo the tribulation, you must be prepared. Big pervert, you have to prepare everything for little Xian. If anything happens to him, Kurlan turned to look at Murong Yu and snorted coldly. Murong Yu spat out a mouthful of tea. These women changed too quickly, right? Moreover, they didn't seem to be so concerned about him before the tribulation. Of course, this was what he wanted to see. And he also felt that the reason why the 5 women were acting like this was because they were scared of his tribulation. Chapter 1205. Murong Xian's holy tribulation had to be transcended. Not only him, but also the others. However, as the second person in Shenzhen to transcend the holy tribulation after Murong Yu, he was highly valued. Especially Murong Yu, Zhao Jiqing and the others, they were nervously preparing. In 100 years, Murong Xian did nothing but consolidate his cultivation. Murong Yu, on the other hand, used his divine ability to obtain all kinds of resources for Murong Xian. Saint-grade divine tools, all kinds of top-grade divine veins, and all kinds of medicinal pills. Murong Yu wanted to ensure that Murong Xian would succeed in transcending the tribulation without any mishap. If Murong Xian failed to transcend the tribulation, Murong Yu would still be able to bear the pain. However, Zhao Jiqing might not be able to bear it. This time, the location of transcending the tribulation was still the Jade Desolate Continent. Apart from Murong Xian himself, Murong Yu, Zhao Jiqing and the others were all present. Even the other quasi-saint of Shenzhen were all present. Every holy tribulation was an experience. The more they saw, the more they would be able to transcend the tribulation in the future. Of course, this was because Murong Yu was the master of the God realm. Otherwise, he would definitely not let more people know that Murong Xian was transcending the tribulation. If there were disloyal people causing trouble, it would be a tragedy. Little Xian, take these 2 treasures. If you really can't withstand it, take out these 2 treasures. However, these 2 treasures are your final trump cards. I don't want you to use them, understand? Murong Yu handed the 2 treasures to Murong Xian and said in a deep voice. Murong Xian nodded with a grave expression. Then, he took a step forward and rushed to the sky of the Jade Desolate Continent. Immediately, he released the seal on his body. Rumble, just like Murong Yu's tribulation, the entire sky of the Jade Desolate Continent was shrouded in tribulation clouds after Murong Xian's seal was released. However, when they saw the tribulation clouds, Zhao Jiqing and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Compared to when Murong Yu was undergoing his tribulation, the aura emitted by the tribulation clouds had suppressed their souls to the point of trembling. Although the current tribulation cloud's pressure was terrifying, it was still much weaker than when Murong Yu was undergoing his tribulation. Seeing this, Shenzhen and the other quasi-saint heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, not every tribulation is as terrifying as the Holy Lord's tribulation. Boom! The tribulation lightning struck down without hesitation. Murong Xian hovered in the sky without dodging. Actually, he couldn't avoid these heavenly tribulations. He had to bear them. However, with Murong Xian's strength, he easily withstood the first tribulation lightning without any threat. The might of the tribulation is still a little too strong. Hichu's voice suddenly appeared in Murong Yu's ears. He had witnessed many people undergoing tribulation before. Murong Yu's tribulation was more than 10 times more terrifying than that of ordinary saints. Murong Xian's tribulation was also several times more powerful than that of ordinary people. Hearing Hichu's explanation, Murong Yu was somewhat depressed. He didn't know whether to cry or to cry. The more terrifying the tribulation was, the more heaven-defying that person was. This should be a good thing. However, the might of the tribulation was doubled, making it difficult for people to safely pass it. However, Murong Yu didn't tell Zhao Jiqing and the others about Hichu's words, lest they worry. Tribulation after tribulation struck down unceasingly. Murong Yu and the others also witnessed Murong Xian's strength. Before the 40 tribulation lightning struck down, Murong Xian used his physical body to withstand it directly. Moreover, he also used the power of the tribulation lightning to temper his body in the process. Murong Xian's physical body became stronger as he continued to transcend the tribulation. This was something that Murong Yu and the others could see. However, after the 30 tribulation lightning, Murong Xian was already struggling to withstand it. Every time the tribulation lightning struck down, some shocking wounds would appear on his body. If it were anyone else, they would have swallowed healing pills and taken out various magic treasures and divine artifacts to offset the power of the tribulation. However, Murong Xian didn't do so. During this process, Murong Yu and the others clearly saw inexplicable forces constantly coming from afar and acting on Murong Xian's body. With the help of these forces, Murong Xian's injuries would quickly heal. Those shocking, bone-deep wounds healed almost in the blink of an eye. What a terrifying recovery ability! Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but exclaim. While they were shocked, they were also confused. What exactly was that force that broke through the sky? Why was it acting on Murong Xian's body? Everyone was confused, but Murong Yu understood. If he guessed correctly, that force was the power of the Eastern Wilderness. Murong Xian was extracting the power of the Eastern Wilderness. The Eastern Wilderness was so big. Even though it had been dead for countless years, the power it contained was still quite terrifying. Moreover, the Eastern Wilderness was very powerful before it died. It was countless times more powerful than Murong Xian's. Therefore, its power could easily heal Murong Xian's injuries. After the 40th tribulation lightning, even with the healing power of the Eastern Wilderness, Murong Xian still had a hard time resisting it. The speed of healing even couldn't keep up with the speed of injury. Therefore, Murong Xian started swallowing all kinds of healing elixirs. These elixirs were specially made by Murong Yu using the Yin-Yang cauldron. They were all top-notch elixirs. Relying on the power of the Eastern Wilderness and these elixirs, Murong Xian managed to resist until the 60th tribulation lightning. However, the power of the tribulation lightning was getting more and more terrifying. Even with the support of the Eastern Wilderness and all kinds of elixirs, Murong Xian still couldn't resist it. At this time, there were still 21 more tribulation lightning to go. However, this didn't matter. Murong Xian's body couldn't withstand it, but he still had all kinds of divine artifacts and Dharma treasures. Therefore, everyone started to see Murong Xian taking out Dharma treasures and divine artifacts. In the beginning, the first stage of the heavenly tribulation could be blocked by a divine artifact or magic treasure. However, after one tribulation after another, he took out more and more Dharma treasures and divine artifacts each time. In the end, for each tribulation, Murong Xian had to take out dozens of divine artifacts before he could resist it. Seeing this, Shengzhen and the other quasi-saint disciples who were originally relieved felt their hearts in their mouths again. Murong Xian was Murong Yu's son, so he had so many divine artifacts and Dharma treasures. They were just ordinary disciples of Shengzhen. How could they have so many high-level divine artifacts? Looks like little Xian will pass the tribulation easily, Mu Liu said with a smile. Zhao Jiqing and the others nodded slightly. Although Murong Xian was in a terrible state, and his whole body was covered in blood, he wasn't in any life-threatening danger. Therefore, their hearts, which had been on tenterhooks all this time, finally relaxed. However, only Murong Yu's expression was serious. He knew that the last tribulation lightning was the key. Most people who went through the tribulation would die in the last tribulation lightning. Boom! 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 The 80th tribulation lightning shattered the sky and shot towards Murong Xian. At this moment, Murong Xian's heart was enveloped by an extremely strong aura of death. His expression changed in an instant. At the same time, he took out hundreds of divine artifacts and Dharma treasures. Boom! With a loud bang, the hundreds of divine artifacts and Dharma treasures were directly shattered into dust by the tribulation lightning. However, the tribulation lightning continued to strike as if it wasn't damaged at all. Murong Xian let out a strange cry. With a thought, a huge ancient cauldron shot into the sky and met the tribulation lightning in the sky. The yin-yang cauldron. Boom! Before anyone could react, the yin-yang cauldron had already collided with the tribulation lightning and exploded with a terrifying force. In an instant, the yin-yang cauldron was blasted away. In the end, it shot towards Murong Yu. However, the yin-yang cauldron's power was undeniable. At least half of the tribulation lightning was destroyed. Whoosh! Almost at the same time that the yin-yang cauldron was blasted away, a picture scroll was taken out and swept towards the tribulation lightning. Phew! Zhao Jiqing and the others breathed a sigh of relief, because the tribulation lightning was blocked by Murong Xian in the end. He used the Hichu Luoshu. However, Murong Yu's expression didn't look good. Whether it was the Hichu Luoshu or the yin-yang cauldron, they could only be used once. After all, they were only borrowed. Once they were used, they would fly back to Murong Yu's side. Now, it was only the second last tribulation lightning. The last tribulation lightning was the most terrifying. What did Murong Xian use to block the last tribulation lightning? Whoosh! After successfully blocking the 80th tribulation lightning, before the last tribulation lightning struck, Murong Xian's figure disappeared into thin air. Everyone only saw Murong Xian tear open a void tunnel, step into it, and disappear. Instantly, everyone's expression changed. Zhao Jiqing and the others panicked, not knowing what had happened. All of you stay here. I'll be back soon. After Murong Xian disappeared, Murong Yu immediately transmitted a message to Zhao Jiqing and the others. Then, he disappeared in a flash. Eastern Wilderness World. At this moment, Murong Xian had been transported to the Eastern Wilderness World. When Murong Yu entered the Eastern Wilderness World, he saw that the murderous aura in the world was more than 1,000 times denser than before. Streams of terrifying auras were condensing crazily. Murong Yu nodded, and a smile appeared on his serious face. Murong Xian was very smart. He knew that he couldn't block the last tribulation with the things he had. Therefore, he entered the Eastern Wilderness World. He wanted to use the power of the Eastern Wilderness World to block the last tribulation, which was also the most terrifying tribulation. Just as Murong Yu entered the Eastern Wilderness World, the last tribulation lightning struck. At this moment, an extremely strong aura of death appeared in the hearts of all living beings in the Eastern Wilderness World. In an instant, the entire Eastern Wilderness World felt like doomsday had arrived. It was extremely terrifying. This tribulation affected the entire Eastern Wilderness World. One could imagine how terrifying it was. Would Murong Xian be able to withstand the last tribulation? Could he successfully pass the tribulation and become a saint? Chapter 1206. The moment the heavenly tribulation struck down, Murong Yu suddenly discovered that the sky of the eastern wasteland was suddenly drowned by a terrifying baleful aura. The sky, which was originally a little gray, was now completely dark. This was because there was too much baleful aura. In addition, Murong Yu also saw streaks of blood-red divine light flying over from all directions of the eastern wasteland. These should be the remaining forces of the eastern wasteland. Murong Xian was gathering these remaining forces. In fact, these forces were not what Murong Xian wanted to use. After being summoned by him, they began to condense above his head and continued to condense. Most of the forces had already met the terrifying tribulation lightning in the sky. Rumble, the last tribulation lightning, was very terrifying. Even though the Eastern Wasteland's forces were huge and incomparably powerful, it was still difficult to resist this tribulation lightning. However, the Eastern Wasteland's forces were really huge and could be said to be endless. Under Murong Xian's control, these forces were like a torrential river that crazily pounced forward. Although they were unable to withstand a single blow, they would still weaken some of the tribulation lightning's power. Seeing this scene, Murong Yu was already relieved. He knew that Murong Xian's tribulation had passed safely. Not to mention that Murong Xian was using the Eastern Wasteland's forces to transcend the tribulation, Zhao Jiqing and the others. Murong Xian and Murong Yu left one after another, causing Zhao Jiqing and the others to be worried. The more they did not know the situation, the more worried they were. As for the other quasi-saint of Shenzhen, they were not necessarily happy either. After all, Murong Xian was also an expert of Shenzhen. Shenzhen was the second person to transcend the tribulation. His position in Shenzhen was also extremely high. No one was willing to see him fall. Therefore, everyone did not leave the Jade Wasteland continent. Before they received news that Murong Xian had successfully transcended the tribulation, they would not leave. Fortunately, although Murong Xian had left the Jade Desolate continent, nothing unexpected had happened to his soul Jade slip. Because of this, Zhao Jiqing and the others were not so worried. Even so, they couldn't help but worry. Little Xian, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Situ Xian asked with a slight frown. They were all family, so it was normal for them to be concerned about Murong Xian. There should be no problem, Zhao Jiqing said affirmatively. However, deep within her eyes, a trace of deep worry flashed past. As a mother, she couldn't be completely at ease until she was sure that Murong Xian was safe and sound. He will definitely be fine. Everyone thought to themselves. He seemed to be comforting the others, but at the same time, he seemed to be comforting himself. While they were worrying, Murong Xian's heavenly tribulation in the eastern wilderness had already disappeared. The entire eastern wilderness had also returned to normal. Since then, Shenzhen already had 2 people who had passed the holy tribulation. As long as the father and son ascended, they would be the first saints in Shenzhen to ascend. With one step, Murong Yu had already arrived in front of Murong Xian. Father! Seeing Murong Yu arrive, Murong Xian hurriedly bowed respectfully. Murong Yu nodded and looked at Murong Xian. He found that his aura was several times stronger than before the heavenly tribulation. Of course, Murong Xian was still only a false saint. As long as he reached the holy realm and condensed a saint body, he would be able to unleash the true power of a saint. Of course, a saint body wasn't the only thing. Most importantly, his current power was only divine power. In essence, divine power was many times weaker than saint power. A saint could only unleash the strongest attack if they had a set of saint power. If you had gone through the heavenly tribulation in the eastern wilderness from the beginning, you wouldn't have been in such a sorry state, and you wouldn't have used so many treasures. Why didn't you just go through the heavenly tribulation here? This was Murong Yu's first sentence, and it was somewhat interrogative. However, Murong Xian shook his head and looked determined. Father, do you think it's useful for me to go through the heavenly tribulation like this? I need to truly face the heavenly tribulation and use my own power to go through it. Only then can I train my strength, temperament, courage, and other aspects. If I had gone through the heavenly tribulation here from the beginning, I could have gone through it safely and even come out unscathed. However, that's not what I want. But you're making your mother and the others too worried, Murong Yu continued in a low voice. However, Murong Xian smiled. Father, if it were you, would you be willing to go through the heavenly tribulation here directly? Moreover, I already had a plan. If I really couldn't handle it, I would have come here. Didn't I come here now? A bright smile appeared on Murong Yu's face. He patted Murong Xian's shoulder a few times and said with a smile, "Good job. As expected of my son, Murong Yu." My son is a coward. Don't you know whose son I am? Murong Xian smiled. Murong Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This guy was calling him fat and he was panting. However, no matter what, today was a good day for Murong Xian to go through the heavenly tribulation. It was worth celebrating. Thus, he said, now go back to the Jade Wilderness and tell your mother that you're safe. Then, tell the world that in a few days you can share your experience of going through the heavenly tribulation. The main thing is that they know the difference between different heavenly tribulations. It's time for us to enter the holy world. Father, are we preparing to ascend? Murong Xian was overjoyed. To them who had gone through the heavenly tribulation, the holy world was their final stage. There's no rush. Let's make preparations first. We're going to enter the holy world. I'll be the first to scout the way. Murong Yu said in a deep voice. The situation in the heavenly realm was too complicated. They definitely wouldn't welcome outsiders. Originally, it was just Shenzhen who hated those who ascended. Now, with the addition of the humans and demons in the holy world, the entire holy world hated those from the heavenly realm. If they rashly ascended, it would definitely be a tragedy. It would be best if they did what Murong Yu did in the past. He would ascend first and then slowly develop in the holy world. After having a certain foundation, Shenzhen's people would ascend one after another. Murong Xian immediately felt depressed. However, he also knew the seriousness of the situation. Immediately, he and Murong Yu entered Hichu Luoshu and returned to the Jade Wilderness. Seeing Murong Xian, who had successfully passed the heavenly tribulation, Zhao Jiqing and the others were naturally overjoyed. Soon, they returned to Shenzhen. Then, the news of Murong Xian's successful tribulation quickly spread throughout the heavenly realm under Shenzhen's promotion. Moreover, the heavenly realm also knew that all the disciples of Shenzhen would soon share Murong Xian's tribulation experience. Regarding this, they were naturally envious and jealous. However, there was nothing they could do. Who asked them not to be Shenzhen's disciples? However, the more it was like this, the more people wanted to enter Shenzhen. Shenzhen fully deserved to become the cultivation holy land of the heavenly realm. 1,000 years after Murong Xian's tribulation, Shenzhen finally welcomed the third person to undergo tribulation. This person was originally a peak 10th level quasi-saint in the heaven domain. With Shenzhen's support, this person successfully passed the heavenly tribulation. Moreover, everyone also discovered that this person's heavenly tribulation was too weak compared to Murong Yu and his sons. This was because this expert was far inferior to Murong Yu and his son. However, this also made it very difficult for this saint to pass the heavenly tribulation. He even almost died. However, in the end, he still successfully passed the tribulation. With a third, there would naturally be a fourth and a fifth. In the following time, quasi-saints who were undergoing tribulation continuously appeared in Shenzhen. However, not everyone could succeed in transcending the tribulation. With Shenzhen's help, among the 10 people who passed the tribulation, 2 still failed. The success rate of passing the tribulation was 80%. It seemed that the success rate was not very high. However, compared to the past, it was much higher. Because before this, it was extremely difficult to successfully pass the tribulation. Most people would die under the heavenly tribulation, but Shenzhen's current situation was that most people had successfully passed the tribulation. This was the difference. Moreover, now that everyone in Shenzhen was getting stronger and stronger, the success rate of passing the tribulation in the future would also be higher and higher. This was inevitable. In a flash, an era had passed. An era's time was very long for Murong Yu. Because before this, he had not even spent 10 million years. However, in this era, thousands of false saints had appeared in Shenzhen. They were all false saints who had passed the heavenly tribulation. In fact, the number of people who had passed the heavenly tribulation was far more than this number. It was just that many people had died. Moreover, there would be people who would pass the tribulation almost every few decades or centuries. There would be more and more saints in Shenzhen. It's time to ascend to the holy world. On this day, Morong Yu made a decision. With a flash, he disappeared from Shenzhen and appeared in the chaotic secret ground. Kid, you finally appeared. The moment Morong Yu appeared, Lu Haotsong appeared beside him. Morong Yu rolled his eyes. Old Lu, you don't think I've already ascended to the holy world, do you? Lu Haotsong blushed and smiled embarrassedly. He was really afraid that Morong Yu would ascend to the holy world alone without him. Morong Yu immediately looked at Lu Haotsong with disdain. Do you think I'm the kind of person who doesn't keep his promise? Ha ha ha. Lu Haotsong suddenly laughed out loud, hiding his embarrassment and changing the topic. You've passed the tribulation for an era. Are you preparing to ascend to the holy world? Morong Yu nodded. Lu Haotsong was immediately overjoyed. He thought he could use Morong Yu's Hichu Luoshu to ascend to the holy world. However, what Morong Yu said next made Lu Haotsong depressed. Old Lu, can you return to the holy world from where you entered the chaotic secret ground? You want to sneak into the holy world from the chaotic secret ground? Lu Haotsong looked at Morong Yu in surprise before shaking his head. As a matter of fact, Morong Yu even saw a smear of fear on Lu Haotsong's face. The other side of the chaotic secret ground was just too terrifying. Lu Haotsong definitely did not want to experience it a second time. Chapter 1207. Seeing the fear on Lu Haotsong's face, Morong Yu was secretly surprised. This guy was not a weakling, but a genuine undead stage powerhouse. He was already an immortal existence. It was not easy for this kind of person to die. But just talking about the depths of the chaotic secret plane, he was scared to this extent? How terrifying was the chaotic secret plane? Morong Yu was shocked, and even his thoughts were shaken. The chaotic secret plane in the God world is also a secret plane in the holy world. And do you know where the exit is in the holy world? It's in the Blood Rain Mountain. Seeing that Morong Yu still wanted to pass through the chaotic secret plane, Lu Haotsong hurriedly explained. Morong Yu just looked at him doubtfully, because he did not know what the Blood Rain Mountain was. Is the Blood Rain Mountain a danger zone? Morong Yu asked. Lu Haotsong shook his head, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The Blood Rain Mountain is not a danger zone, but a force. If it was not a danger zone, then it would be easy to deal with? Morong Yu looked at Lu Haotsong with some hesitation, not knowing why he thought like this. Lu Haotsong smiled bitterly and said, Do you know how I ended up in this situation? Because before this, I killed the young master of the Blood Rain Mountain. Morong Yu came to a realization. This guy killed the young master of the Blood Rain Mountain, so he was hunted down by the Blood Rain Mountain. But was the Blood Rain Mountain really so terrifying? They actually made Lu Haotsong have no foothold in the God world? And finally escaped into the chaotic secret plane? Seeing Morong Yu's expression, Lu Haotsong knew what he was thinking and explained, In the Saint's world, even if the Blood Rain Mountain is a human, it's only an ordinary power. Hearing this, Morong Yu immediately looked at Lu Haotsong with contempt. This guy was actually chased by an ordinary force to the point that he had no foothold in the holy world? Was the opponent too strong, or was Lu Haotsong too useless? Lu Haotsong smiled bitterly. I know what you're thinking. It's not that I'm too useless, nor is it that the Blood Rain Mountain is too strong. The old ancestor of the Blood Rain Mountain was only a 9th stage profound sage. He's just a whole realm higher than me. However, the Blood Rain Mountain has a very disgusting divine ability, Blood Curse. Blood Curse. Morong Yu exclaimed. Wasn't there a blood gate in the divine world? The blood gate had a similar blood curse. Every disciple of the blood gate had a blood curse on them. Whenever someone killed them, the blood curse on them would be transferred to the other party's soul. Those who were cursed would be sensed by the disciples of the blood sect within a certain range. And this blood curse was almost unbreakable. Back then, Murong Yu had also been cursed by the blood curse and was almost hunted down by the people of the blood sect. Fortunately, his life force was powerful enough to remove the blood curse. In the end, the furious Murong Yu directly uprooted the blood gate. If the blood rain mountain was similar to the blood gate, this force would definitely be a very disgusting existence. However, the blood curse could only be sensed by the disciples of the blood gate within a certain range. If this was the case, the holy world was so big. Lu Haotsang could casually find a place to hide, and they wouldn't be able to find him. Lu Haotsang stared at Murong Yu with a look of disdain. Do you think the blood curse of the Blood Rain Mountain is just like this? The blood curse of the Blood Rain Mountain is much more disgusting than the blood gate of the divine world. As long as I'm still in the holy world, their old ancestor can sense my existence. Damn, that old bastard relied on his strength and chased me for countless years. I almost lost my life in his hands several times. If it wasn't for my good luck that caught them off guard and rushed into the chaotic secret land, I'm afraid I would have died long ago. With that, Lu Haotsang gnashed his teeth. The division of realms in the holy world was somewhat different from the divine world. Every big realm was subdivided into 9 small realms. The gap between each small realm was at least 10 times. For example, the gap between a first-order undead sage and a ninth-order undead sage was at least 90 times. If there was a difference of a big realm, the gap would be at least 100 times or hundreds of times. Of course, if it was a genius, it would be different. The gap might be reduced. But if the other party was a genius, the gap would be even bigger. Lu Haotsang was very unlucky. Although the old ancestor of the Blood Rain Mountain was only a 9th-order profound sage, he was a genius. With a difference of a big realm, the gap between their strength was more than 1,000 times. It was precisely because of this that Lu Haotsang was being chased. Murong Yu looked at Lu Haotsang with sympathy. Old Lu, I sympathize with you. Lu Haotsang rolled his eyes. What was the use of sympathy? It would be good if he could help him kill that guy. However, Lu Haotsang didn't have that strength. Once he appeared in the holy world, the other party would immediately sense it. This was also the reason why he chose to cooperate with Murong Yu. If he hid in Murong Yu's Hichu Luoshu, the other party might not be able to sense his existence. Moreover, if he waited until Murong Yu became stronger and killed the other party, he wouldn't have to worry about anything. Those blood curses are so terrifying? Murong Yu didn't believe it. Ordinary blood curses aren't that powerful, but the person I killed wasn't an ordinary person. This is a strengthened version of the blood curse. Lu Haotsang said helplessly. However, if he was given a choice, he would still kill the young master of the Blood Rain Mountain, because he deserved to die. Well, after I become stronger, I will go and kill that old ancestor and destroy the Blood Rain Mountain. Murong Yu patted Lu Haotsang's shoulder and said. Lu Haotsang smiled helplessly. I hope so. Isn't that what he was thinking? However, it's still a problem whether we can go to the chaotic secret plane or not. Lu Haotsang said with a frown. We have to go even if we can't. Murong Yu narrowed his eyes slightly. He couldn't ascend at all. Once he did, the people of the holy world would definitely attack him. Therefore, he could only rely on the chaotic secret plane. Of course, if there were other secret planes that were connected to the holy world, he wouldn't need to go through the chaotic secret plane at all. However, he didn't find that secret plane. After discussing with Lu Haotsang for a long time, Murong Yu left the chaotic secret plane. It's not that he didn't want to pass through here, but he had decided to pass through the chaotic secret plane. This time, he left the chaotic secret plane to go back and make preparations. Going to the holy world? After hearing this news, Zhao Jiqing and the others were shocked. However, this was also within their expectations. After all, Murong Yu had already passed the holy tribulation for an epoch. For the rest of the time, Murong Yu and the girls were madly entangled with each other while making arrangements for various matters. After 100 years, Murong-Yu finally entered the chaotic secret plane again. Are you ready? When they arrived at the chaotic secret plane, Lu Haotsong asked with a solemn expression. Murong-Yu nodded, then soared into the sky and flew towards the depths of the chaotic secret plane. He didn't hesitate when he decided on something. Both of them were very powerful, and their speed was even more terrifying. Although the chaotic secret plane was extremely vast, they still approached the depths of the chaotic secret plane after a few years. According to Lu Haotsong's understanding, they weren't in the deepest part of the chaotic secret plane. Instead, they were still at the edge of the chaotic secret plane. It was like a mountain had divided the chaotic secret plane into two halves. One side was connected to the divine world, while the other side was connected to the holy world. Even though they were only at the edge, the chaotic chi flow here was extremely violent. At this moment, Murong-Yu had already summoned the He Tu and the Luo Shu to resist the incomparably berserk chaotic air currents. Even though he was a chaotic celestial body and was innately close to the chaotic chi. However, the violent chaotic chi flow was not something he could resist. He couldn't even absorb it. Are we sure we want to go in? Lu Haotsong looked at Murong-Yu. Nonsense. Murong-Yu glared at Lu Haotsong, somewhat speechless. This guy had asked many times along the way. How many chaotic divine veins have you collected? None, Lu Haotsong said directly. Then, before Murong-Yu lost his temper, he continued, when you reach the holy world, you will condense a holy body. At that time, these chaotic divine veins will have no effect on you. If we can reach the other side, the chaotic divine veins there will be useful to you. Murong-Yu nodded and stepped in. Boom! Just as he was about to enter the depths, a powerful force slammed into his body. He was caught off guard and was sent flying. At that moment, Murong-Yu's body felt like it was hit by a holy mountain. His physical body instantly cracked, almost shattering into pieces. Murong-Yu was shocked. Immediately, he erupted with his strongest power, causing his entire body to sink down. At the same time, the power of life had already rushed in. Under the impact of the power of life, his injured body immediately recovered to its peak state. At the same time, he successfully protected his body with his power. However, he was still being hit by the chaotic chi. At that moment, he looked around. However, he didn't find anything. The chaotic chi flow here was the same as before. However, Murong-Yu felt as if he'd entered a river of primal chaos chi. It looked calm, but the undercurrent was turbulent. It was the turbulent undercurrent that was attacking him. Do you know how powerful it is? The deeper you go, the more terrifying the impact is. Let me tell you, there are no terrifying beasts in this chaotic secret site, only these violent chaotic chi flows. Lu Haotsong came to Murong-Yu's side and said in a deep voice. Murong-Yu rolled his eyes and looked at Lu Haotsong. Suddenly, a smile appeared on his face. You're an imperishable stage expert. I think it'll be fine for you to cross this place by yourself. I will enter the space treasure first. Lu Haotsong rolled his eyes, but in the end, Murong-Yu didn't go in. Wasn't this harsh environment a good place to cultivate? Therefore, Murong-Yu and Lu Haotsong began to rush into the depths of the chaotic secret site. Chapter 1208. The chaotic airflow surged, and every moment, it was as if there was a huge sacred mountain slamming into Murong-Yu's body. The huge impact made it impossible for Murong-Yu to fly in a straight line, and he could only stumble forward. However, this was not enough to injure him, but his speed was greatly hindered. However, his speed was still extremely fast. Alas, the secret ground was simply too big. The side that bordered the God realm was probably just the tip of the iceberg. Murong-Yu had been flying in the chaotic secret land for decades, but they had not crossed the depth. According to Lu Haotsong, they had not yet reached the deepest part. Of course, the deepest part he mentioned was not the entire chaotic secret land. Instead, it was the deepest part of the natural moat that separated the two exits of the chaotic secret land. The deeper they went, the more terrifying the chaotic airflow was. Lu Haotsang was fine. After all, he was an imperishable stage super expert. Although his physical body was not very advanced, it was still a saint body. However, Morong Yu was different. His physical body was far inferior to a saint body, and his strength was not comparable to an ordinary saint. Therefore, after 100 years, he had begun to struggle a little. Every moment, he had to spend a lot of energy to suppress his body and resist the chaotic airflow. Boy, you should enter your treasure space. I will take you to the next level. Lu Haotsang looked at Morong Yu with a surprised face. Because at this time they were already quite deep. Not to mention Morong Yu, who was a fake saint, even a real saint would not be able to resist it. Morong Yu shook his head. This was far from the limit. Moreover, they were not in a hurry to go to the holy world. It was better to use this rare opportunity to train himself. Therefore, he continued to go deeper and deeper. After another few decades, Morong Yu finally reached his limit. At this time, even with the protection of Hichu Luoshu, his body was constantly cracked by the impact. Even the life force couldn't repair it in time. This was because the speed of repair wasn't as fast as the speed of injury. Moreover, even if he devoured the primal chaos divine veins with all his might, he wouldn't be able to make up for the energy he had consumed. Old Lu, I can't take it anymore. For the rest of the time, you will travel through this place alone, Morong Yu said, and his figure flashed and entered the Hichu Luoshu. Then, Hichu Luoshu attached itself to Lu Haotsang's body. Without saying a word, Lu Haotsang once again flew into the depths of the forest. Saints, great saints, undying saints, and so on. In the end, Lu Haotsang had reached the depths of the chaotic secret plane that could harm Eternal Realm experts. For Lu Haotsang, this was just the beginning. The deeper one went into the primal chaos secret lands, the more violent the primal chaos chi became. Even profound sages, ancient sages, and other powerhouses could easily destroy it. Lu Haotsang stopped. Seeing that Lu Haotsang had stopped, Morong Yu couldn't help but ask, "Have you left the depths?" "This is just the beginning," Lu Haotsang replied snappily. Then he closed his eyes and recalled. The reason why he was able to pass through this terrifying depths was that he had taken a relatively safe passage. After recalling his memories and confirming that there were no mistakes, Lu Haotsang continued to move forward. At this time, Morong Yu was also looking out of the Hichu Luoshu. Seeing the dignified look on Lu Haotsang's face, his face also became dignified. Here, the Hichu Luoshu's teleportation function didn't work at all. In other words, once they encountered danger, they could only enter the Hichu Luoshu world, but they couldn't teleport out of here. Chi. A soft sound came from Lu Haotsang's body. Morong Yu looked over and saw that Lu Haotsang's clothes had been torn to shreds. In an instant, several ghastly wounds appeared on his body. Morong Yu was startled, and Lu Haotsang was even more frightened. His figure flashed and retreated. "Old Lu, what's wrong?" Seeing Lu Haotsang retreating to a safe place, Morong Yu immediately asked. "It's nothing, I just accidentally stepped on the wrong path," Lu Haotsang said lightly. In fact, his heart was extremely heavy. Just now, he had walked along the path in his memory, but he had accidentally stepped on the wrong path. If it weren't for his quick reaction, he might not have just been injured, he might have even lost his life. When Lu Haotsang was about to heal his injuries, Morong Yu hurriedly said, "Save your strength, I'll help you heal your injuries." As he spoke, his life force had already crazily surged into Lu Haotsang's body like stormy waves. However, the healing effect was barely satisfactory. Because Morong Yu was only a false saint, and Lu Haotsang was an existence of the Eternal Realm. However, there was still an effect. It took him a full hour to heal Lu Haotsang's injuries. Thus, Lu Haotsang went deeper again. However, this time, he was much more careful than before. He almost stopped 3 times per step. Such a speed was naturally extremely slow. Along the way, Lu Haotsong made mistakes from time to time. His memory was correct, but after so many years, the illusion here had also undergone some changes. However, under his carefulness and Morong Yu's treatment, they still went deep into the illusion without any danger. After passing through the Eternal Realm, they came to an area where profound sages could be killed. At this point, Lu Haotsong slowed down and became even more careful. There is a wormhole nearby. When they came to a valley, Lu Haotsong stopped. Morong Yu finally came to a realization. He had been wondering how Lu Haotsong had been able to pass through these places. Moreover, he was being chased. It turned out that he was teleported through a wormhole. How did you find this wormhole at that time? Morong Yu couldn't help but ask. Because at this time, Lu Haotsong had already found this wormhole. This wormhole was very hidden, and it was actually hidden in the depths of an inconspicuous cave in the valley where they were. Hearing this, Lu Haotsong's old face turned red. At that time, he didn't find this wormhole. In fact, when he entered the other entrance of the chaotic secret plane, he was chased by the old ancestor of the Blood Rain Mountain. At that time, he was hit by a palm and almost lost his life. However, that palm strike had coincidentally sent him into the wormhole and teleported him to this valley. If he wanted to, Lu Haotsong would never cross the chaotic secret plane. The reason why he came to the side bordering the divine realm. That was because he had no way back. Go back through the wormhole? There must have been an inescapable net waiting for him over there. But directly cross it? Lu Haotsong admitted that he didn't have the strength. Morong Yu couldn't help but feel strange. You can come over, but why didn't the people of the Blood Rain Mountain chase after you? Lu Haotsong was startled. He had been struggling with this question for a long time. It's probably because they don't want to take the risk. Who knows where the other side of the wormhole leads to? If it leads to an existence that can even kill a Saint King, they would be in for a tragedy. They might even think that I'm already dead. It's also possible. Morong Yu pondered for a moment. And felt that this was the only possibility. Immediately, he put Lu Haotsong into the Hichu Luoshu. If there were any inescapable net or formation restrictions over there, only Morong Yu could take action. Because he could be invisible and was not afraid of various formations. Swish! Morong Yu and Lu Haotsong flew directly into the wormhole in the Hichu Luoshu. Perhaps it was a moment, or perhaps it was several eras. Morong Yu felt the scenery in front of him change, and then he came out of the void. We finally left the depths of the damned chaotic secret plane. When he saw the weak chaotic airflow outside, Lu Haotsong couldn't help but curse. At the same time, a smile appeared on his face. This was because they already had one foot in the saint's world. Rumble, however, before Lu Haotsong's voice fell, balls of dazzling holy light erupted outside the Hichu Luoshu. Waves of vast power swept in from all directions, strangling the Hichu Luoshu. Lu Haotsong's voice came to an abrupt halt. These bastards really set up an inescapable net here. Morong Yu also felt a little helpless. Hichu Luoshu triggered the formation. These formations were set up in the wormhole. As long as one came out of the wormhole, they would be triggered. Of course, if Morong Yu himself appeared, these formations would not be triggered at all. But with a thought, Morong Yu stepped out of the Hichu Luoshu world and appeared in the chaotic secret plane of the divine realm. Boom! A huge pressure was exerted on his body, directly suppressing his body that was suspended in the void and forcing him to fall to the ground. However, the moment he appeared, he also put away the He-Tu and the Luoshu. The formations that were triggered instantly calmed down. However, at the same time, Morong Yu's figure disappeared on the spot, invisible. At the same time when these formations were triggered, outside the chaotic secret plane, in the depths of the Blood Rain Mountain, An old ancestor who was sitting cross-legged in cultivation suddenly opened his eyes. The formations of the chaotic secret plane were triggered? Could it be that Lu Haozong, that bastard, is not dead and has returned? Thinking so, the old ancestor disappeared in a flash. When he reappeared, he had already entered the chaotic secret plane. Unlike the chaotic secret plane of the divine realm, the chaotic secret plane here could be entered and exited at any time. Of course, the premise was that only those who had mastered the method of entering and exiting could do so. The moment Murong Yu turned invisible, an incomparably huge and terrifying aura rushed over from afar. In an instant, 1.08 billion hairs on Murong Yu's body stood on end. His whole body felt like it was about to explode. It was very terrifying. Murong Yu's expression changed immediately, and he immediately entered the Hichu Luoshu world. At the same time, Hichu Luoshu turned into a particle floating between heaven and earth. Chapter 1209. His divine sense swept over like a tidal wave. Just as Murong Yu entered Hichu Luoshu and hid Hichu Luoshu, he felt that terrifying divine sense sweep over Hichu Luoshu. At this moment, Murong Yu's body shook violently. Whether it was his soul, mind, or body, it was as if someone had whipped him. One should know that this was because he was in Hichu Luoshu world. If he was directly affected by this divine sense, Murong Yu firmly believed that he would not be able to withstand it for even a moment, and he might explode and die. What level of sage is this? Just a divine sense is so terrifying? The gap between a sage and a god is too big. Murong Yu's face was full of shock, and his heart was filled with horror. Whoosh! While he was thinking, a figure stepped out of the void and appeared in Murong Yu's sight. When he saw the person, Murong Yu noticed that Lu Haozong's body was trembling. Waves of terrifying murderous aura were constantly erupting from his body, and the impact caused the Hichu Luoshu world's space to continuously collapse. At this moment, Lu Haozong was even more like a ferocious beast. His eyes were red, and waves of ferocious aura were erupting from him. "Old Lu, suppress your anger." Seeing this, Murong Yu hurriedly roared. He too and the Book of the Luo were able to withstand Lu Haozong. However, if this guy were to erupt his strength, he would still be able to annihilate the Hichu Luoshu's space. It's that old bastard blood rain ancestor. Lu Haozong gritted his teeth and said, but the murderous aura on his body gradually weakened. However, the murderous aura was still violent. Blood Rain Patriarch? Murong Yu narrowed his eyes and looked at the person who had appeared out of thin air. Ancestor Blood Rain was the strongest ancestor of the Blood Rain Mountain. His strength had reached the 9th rank Profound Sage, and he was extremely terrifying. Murong Yu, on the other hand, saw a young man who was about 25 or 26 years old. The young man, Patriarch Blood Rain, was standing on the ground. His eyes shone with holy light as he looked in the direction of the wormhole. Murong Yu even felt the other party's gaze sweep past Hichu Luoshu. Murong Yu's body trembled violently. It was as if his entire body was being pierced by millions of needles at the same time. It was also as if someone was burning him. Is this the strength of a profound sage? Murong Yu was shocked. The other party was only looking at Hichu Luoshu. If he had directly looked at Murong Yu would have been annihilated. No movement at all? In that case, what triggered this array formation? It hasn't been triggered for countless years. Blood Rain Patriarch stood in place, frowning as he pondered. Meanwhile, his divine consciousness was constantly scanning the surroundings. However, he didn't find anything. On the other hand, Murong Yu was a little scared, because the other party's divine sense had scanned Hichu Luoshu many times. However, perhaps because Hichu Luoshu was hidden too well, the other party didn't discover it. However, Murong Yu didn't see any intention of the other party to leave. Therefore, Murong Yu didn't dare to move casually. Once they were discovered, they would be finished here. One day, I will kill him. Looking at Blood Rain Patriarch, Lu Haotsong couldn't help but feel the killing intent in his heart. Blood Rain Patriarch suddenly seemed to have sensed something. He snorted, and his eyes shot over like a knife. Morongyu jumped in fright and hastily closed the He2 and Luo scroll. At the same time, he glared at Lu Haotsong and said angrily, "Do you want to die?" Lu Haotsong was also shocked and quickly suppressed his killing intent. Once they were discovered, the two of them wouldn't be able to escape. "I seem to feel the killing intent here?" Blood Rain Patriarch muttered. However, Morongyu and Lu Haotsong were so scared that they broke out in cold sweat. This was because Blood Rain Patriarch's eyes were fixed on Hichu Luoshu's position with a puzzled expression. Morongyu and Lu Haotsong didn't dare to move. They didn't even dare to breathe. Just like this, the two sides confronted each other for a long time. After half a day, Blood Rain Patriarch didn't seem to have found anything and gave up. Therefore, his figure flashed and he left this place. Motherf *Ker, this person is really too terrifying. Just by standing there, I felt my heart tremble. Terrifying. Morongyu wiped the non-existent cold sweat on his forehead and said with a sigh of relief, "Otherwise, do you think that sages are only sages in the lower realm? When you see a real sage, you will know what a real sage is." Lu Haotsong looked at Morongyu with disdain. Morongyu smiled indifferently and said, "Then we will know when we see." At the same time, he was about to control Hichu Luoshu and leave this place. However, his shoulder was suddenly pressed down by Lu Haotsong and said, "Wait a moment. That old bastard is very cunning. At this time, he might be secretly observing this place." Morongyu was shocked and looked at Lu Haotsong with suspicion. "Don't look at me. I know that old bastard. I wasn't chased for so many years for nothing." However, Morongyu was still skeptical. However, he didn't immediately leave. In any case, they didn't lack this little bit of time. However, they waited for more than a month. "He should have left long ago, right?" Morongyu said with some hesitation. Lu Haotsong was also somewhat hesitant. However, to be on the safe side, he decided to wait a few more days. Sure enough, after another 3 days, Patriarch Blood Rain suddenly appeared. This gave Morongyu a fright. This Blood Rain ancestor is really sinister. He is actually hiding here. Morongyu gritted his teeth and felt that this Blood Rain ancestor was really shameless. However, what if it was him? Morongyu felt that he might do the same. "I was right. This bastard is really sinister," Lu Haotsong said with a sigh of relief. Morongyu nodded in agreement. "It seems that there is really no one here. Lu Haotsong, that bastard should have died long ago, right?" Blood Rain ancestor muttered to himself. Lu Haotsong immediately gritted his teeth. "You are the one who is dead. Your whole family is dead." After observing for a while, Blood Rain ancestor finally left. Half a day later, Morongyu was ready to leave. However, he was stopped by Lu Haotsong. He turned to look at Lu Haotsong, only to see Lu Haotsong shaking his head. Morongyu was helpless, so he continued to hide. Until half a year later, Blood Rain ancestor appeared again. This guy was really too careful. He had actually waited for almost a year. After leaving this time, Lu Haotsong signaled Morongyu to prepare to leave. However, this time, it was Morongyu's turn to be careful. In the end, they decided to stay and cultivate for several years before finally leaving. "We have reached the holy world. These primal chaos divine veins, or should I say primal chaos saint veins, can be collected." After leaving the wormhole, Morongyu let Lu Haotsong out. "I hope Blood Rain ancestor has already left the primal chaos secret ground. Otherwise, we will all be killed by you." Lu Haotsong glared at Morongyu. His blood curse could be easily discovered by the Blood Rain ancestor. Of course, it was impossible for Blood Rain ancestor to discover Lu Haotsong in the primal chaos secret ground in the God world. He did not have the strength to do so. While being careful, Morong Yu also began to cultivate. The heaven-earth yuan qi in the holy world was not very easy, but the primal chaos qi was incomparably huge. It already belonged to the holy world. It was enough for Morong Yu's physical body to break through. In the end, Morong Yu even decided to condense a saint body here. As long as he successfully condensed a saint body, he would break through from a false saint to a true saint. Of course, this still required a saint tribulation. It was necessary for him. In the end, Morong Yu found a remote corner in the primal chaos secret ground, sat down cross-legged, and began to cultivate. In the beginning, the primal chaos qi was like a river that was constantly being absorbed by Morong Yu. However, as Morong Yu's speed of absorption became faster and faster, in the end, the chaotic airflow was swallowed up like a storm, like a tornado. Not long after, a huge cyclone formed in the hundreds of millions of miles around Morong Yu. As more and more primal chaos qi was being devoured, the cyclone became bigger and bigger. Morong Yu's physical body was rapidly becoming a saint body. What's happening over there? Why is there a sudden gale? Tens of billions of miles away from Morong Yu, a group of disciples from Blood Rain Mountain was training in the primal chaos secret ground. The phenomenon caused by Morong Yu was too conspicuous. They immediately discovered it. Could it be that some treasure has appeared? Hurry up and inform the sect. A disciple from Blood Rain Mountain reacted and quickly said, "Boom." However, before he could finish his sentence, a huge fist slammed into the back of his head, sending him flying. Idiot, why inform the sect? Of course, if there's something good, it should be enjoyed by us alone. A saint said unhappily. The saint who was sent flying was about to get angry, but after hearing this, he reacted and slapped himself in the face. I'm so stupid. Then, senior brother, shall we go now? Idiot, if we don't go now, are we going to be discovered by others? As he spoke, the senior brother had already soared into the sky. At the same time that this group of disciples discovered the phenomenon, other disciples from Blood Rain Mountain in the primal chaos secret ground also discovered this scene. Suddenly, one by one, they flew over excitedly as if they had been injected with chicken blood, thinking that a treasure had appeared. Morong Yu, the people from Blood Rain Mountain are coming. Lu Haotsong noticed the disciples from Blood Rain Mountain at the beginning and reminded him at this time. You protect me. Morong Yu only left this sentence and continued to cultivate without any intention of stopping. Chapter 12:10. Lu Haotsong had a bitter look on his face as he secretly cursed in his heart. Then, he began to guard Morong Yu. He also knew that Morong Yu was at a critical juncture. It would be best if he could break through the realm in one fell swoop and condense the divine body. Otherwise, it would not be good for him. This was the case for all cultivation. If one was interrupted at a critical juncture of cultivation, one would be injured or even killed. It could even cause the realm to be interrupted and stagnate. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The speed of a sage was extremely fast, and the place where Morong Yu was at was only the periphery of the chaotic secret plane. Because of this, the people who had first discovered Morong Yu quickly rushed over. However, when they saw that it was only Morong Yu and Lu Haotsong, and that there weren't any treasures, they were immediately displeased. They don't seem to be from our Blood Rain Mountain. The disciple who had previously said that he would report this matter to the Blood Rain Mountain could not help but exclaim, "Bang!" What answered him was yet another gigantic fist. The disciple screamed miserably and was sent flying again. Idiot, this secret plane is exclusive to our Blood Rain Mountain. How can there be other people besides our Blood Rain Mountain? That senior brother said, full of anger. However, his voice stopped abruptly because he did see that Morong Yu and Lu Haotsong were not wearing the disciples' uniform of the Blood Rain Mountain. If that was the case, he would not be sure that Morong Yu and Lu Haotsang were not disciples of the Blood Rain Mountain. After all, the disciples of the Blood Rain Mountain did not necessarily wear their exclusive uniform. What made him sure was that he felt the power of the blood curse from a person, and it was extremely strong. It was not as simple as killing a disciple of the Blood Rain Mountain, but many people. This person was Lu Haotsang. Indeed, in addition to killing the young master of the Blood Rain Mountain, Lu Haotsang also killed many disciples of the Blood Rain Mountain. After that, he also killed many people in the process of being chased by the Blood Rain ancestor. Especially in the end, he directly killed his way into the Blood Rain Mountain and escaped into the chaotic secret plane. That time, blood flowed like a river in the Blood Rain Mountain. He didn't know how many Blood Rain Mountain disciples' blood curse had locked onto his body. Kill him, he is the enemy of our Blood Rain Mountain. That senior brother's eyes suddenly turned red, and he shouted loudly. From afar, he punched towards Lu Haotsang. The other disciples of the Blood Rain Mountain also roared and soared into the sky, rushing towards Lu Haotsang. However, they did not notice that while they were flying, their senior brother had used his fastest speed to retreat backward. He could tell that Lu Haotsang was no ordinary saint. If they dared to make a move, they would be courting death. And Lu Haotsang had a blood curse on his body, so he must have killed many of their disciples. Therefore, he immediately ran away. A disciple of the Blood Rain Mountain? All right, I'll collect some interest today. Lu Haotsang grinned maliciously and made his move. Bang! He suddenly stretched out his big hand, and then it quickly enlarged, covering the sky like a huge sacred mountain. Almost at the moment he made his move, the few saints who were rushing over were enveloped by an extremely strong aura of death. Immediately, their faces were filled with shock. Just as they reacted and wanted to escape, Lu Haotsang's big hand had already slammed down. Bang! 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 Before the huge hand could even touch them, a violent force was already pressing down on them from all directions. All of a sudden, these people didn't even have the chance to turn around before they all exploded. In less than 2 breaths, these saints were completely obliterated, along with their souls. They couldn't be more dead. Moreover, this was because they were in the saints' realm. When a saint died, there was no vision of heaven and earth. Just a group of ordinary saints. After killing these saints, Lu Haotsang sneered in disdain. At the same time, he flicked his finger. Chi! A ray of sacred light tore through the void and rushed into the distance. The disciple of Blood Rain Mountain who had abandoned his companions and fled alone was still flying at this time. But suddenly, he found that he was enveloped by a strong aura of death. An extremely terrifying aura shot over at an even faster speed. Before it got close, it had already stimulated all the hair on his body to stand on end, and his skin was cracked. He was suddenly horrified and turned his head to look. He just happened to see a ray of sacred light expanding at an extremely terrifying speed. It's over. He suddenly wailed in his heart, and then the ray of sacred light caught up with him. After that, with a soft poof, he completely disappeared from the world. After killing the Blood Rain Mountain's disciple, Lu Haotsang's eyes flickered with a murderous intent. Then, he took a step and disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he had already appeared in another group of disciples of Blood Rain Mountain who were rushing towards Murongyu. These people were flying at high speed, but they were shocked by the sudden appearance of Lu Haotsang. But before they could react, Lu Haotsang had already blasted a fist over. Everyone was shocked, but before they could react, an extremely terrifying power had already bombarded them. This was the power of an undead stage expert. Even if it was just a light slap, it could annihilate ordinary saints countless times, not to mention that Lu Haotsang had attacked with killing intent. Bang! After a loud explosion, these people were killed. After killing these people, Lu Haotsang's killing intent became even more fierce, and it could be said that his killing intent was soaring. his figure flashed, and he once again appeared in front of another group of people. Not long after, more than a dozen groups of disciples of Blood Rain Mountain, who had been attracted by the heaven and earth phenomena caused by Murong Yu's cultivation, died at Lu Haotsong's hands. After killing these people, the killing intent on Lu Haotsong's body slowly dissipated. He had finally vented the sullen anger that had accumulated from hiding in the chaotic secret plane for so many years. However, if he wanted to be completely stingy, he had to kill Ancestor Blood Rain. However, that was impossible now. I don't know how many people of Blood Rain Mountain are in the chaotic secret plane. These people can't be killed. Perhaps the higher-ups of Blood Rain Mountain already know about these heaven and earth phenomena. Once they are discovered, their profound sage-level ancestors will be alarmed, and that won't be good. Lu Haotsong returned to the place where Murong Yu was cultivating. Looking at Murong Yu, who was still cultivating, he frowned. He didn't care about those below the profound sage realm. Even if they were powerhouses of the 9th stage, he was confident that he could kill them. However, if they were profound sages, the gap between them would be huge. In particular, if Ancestor Blood Rain was alarmed, Lu Haotsong might not be able to escape. I don't know when this kid will be able to break through. Lu Haotsong looked at Murong Yu, frowning even more. Sure enough, it didn't take long for more people to fly over. Moreover, in addition to the lowest level sages, powerhouses of the Great Sage Realm were beginning to appear. Moreover, he believed that it wouldn't be long before powerhouses of the Undead Realm, and even the Profound Sage Realm appeared. Since Murong Yu was still in the process of breaking through, Lu Haotsong could only choose to forcibly hold on. He killed all the disciples of Blood Rain Mountain. For him, he couldn't wait to immediately slaughter everyone in Blood Rain Mountain. Therefore, he didn't have any psychological burden when killing these people. What? Someone is going on a killing spree in the chaotic secret plane? And it's not someone from our Blood Rain Mountain? Finally, the higher-ups of Blood Rain Mountain learned of this news. Therefore, powerhouses of the undead realm rushed into the chaotic secret plane one after another. There were even several profound sage-level ancestors that had entered the chaotic secret plane. It's over, powerhouses are coming. When Lu Haotsong killed an undead realm sage with his bare hands, his face suddenly changed. Kid, when will you be able to break through? The higher-ups of Blood Rain Mountain have been alarmed, and powerhouses are coming over. My strength hasn't recovered yet, and I'm afraid that I can't even resist a 9th stage undead expert. If it's a profound sage, I'll definitely lose. Lu Haotsong's somewhat anxious voice sounded in Murong Yu's ears. Murong Yu felt extremely helpless. He was about to break through, and was only one step away. But this last step was something that he couldn't cross. Therefore, he didn't know when he would be able to break through. Hold on a little longer. If I really can't break through, we can only leave here. Murong Yu felt very helpless. He didn't want to leave here. After all, the chaotic chi flow here was already at the level of the Holy World's origin chi, which was a great supplement for him. If he left here, where would he find a place with such rich world's origin chi? If he left here, he really didn't know when he would be able to break through to the Saint Body Realm. After all, even with such rich world's origin chi, he still couldn't break through, let alone in other places. Try to break through as soon as possible. Otherwise we may stay here forever, Lu Haotsong said in a deep voice, and at the same time, turned around and stepped into the distance. Not long after, he hovered in the void. Not far in front of him, a group of people were looking at him with murderous intent. 3 undead realm sages and a profound sage ancestor. Lu Haotsong frowned slightly, and bitterly smiled in his heart. Who are you? Why are you killing in my Blood Rain Mountain's secret plane? The profound sage ancestor looked at Lu Haotsong and felt that he was somewhat familiar. However, the rich power of the blood curse on Lu Haotsong's body made him frown. Ancestor, Why are you asking him so much? Wait for me to directly kill him. An undead realm sage looked at Lu Haotsang with anger and murderous intent. He stepped forward and was about to attack. Wait. The profound sage ancestor stopped the undead realm sage. His gaze swept past Lu Haotsang and looked at Murong Yu, who was cultivating behind him. False sage? He was startled at first. Then, his expression changed wildly. This was because he found that Murong Yu could actually absorb the chaotic qi flow. This was a power that even he couldn't absorb, but a false sage could? How could he not be shocked? Chapter 12:11. Legend has it that only those who have reached a certain realm can barely refine primal chaos energy. This kid is only a false sage, but he can already refine primal chaos energy? Doesn't that mean that his future achievements will be extremely high? This profound immortal looked at Murong Yu, who was cultivating in the distance, and fell into deep thought. In the holy world, sages could only absorb the origin energy of heaven and earth. Primal chaos energy was a very high-level existence. Legend has it that only those top powerhouses could refine and absorb primal chaos energy. People at that level were legends. This profound sage had only heard of people at that level in the holy world, but had never seen them. Now that he saw that Murong Yu could devour primal chaos energy, he immediately believed that Murong Yu might have reached that legendary realm. His mind immediately began to work. If he could also absorb primal chaos energy, wouldn't he also reach that legendary realm? Suddenly, this profound sage became excited. How could he not be excited? With his aptitude, it was already very heaven-defying for him to reach the ancient sage realm. Moreover, it still depended on a miracle. Without a miracle, he could only stay in the profound sage realm. He immediately shouted, "Kill him and capture that false sage for me." He decided to capture Murong Yu and force him to reveal his cultivation method. Before the profound sage's voice fell, the three imperishable stage powerhouses suddenly jumped out and rushed towards Lu Haotsang. As for Murong Yu, who was cultivating, they simply ignored him. Even if he broke through, he was only an ordinary sage. Could he escape from their hands? Looking at the three imperishable stage sages rushing over, Lu Haotsang smiled disdainfully. The three imperishable stage sages had not reached the 9th rank, and none of them had even reached the 8th rank. Even if they had the advantage in numbers, they were no threat to him. What made him vigilant was that profound sage. Although that guy's realm was not very high, he was still much stronger than him. Not to mention that his strength was far from his peak state. Scram! Lu Haotsang roared out. He took a step forward and arrived before one of the imperishable saints. He extended his hand and slammed it down on the person. Bang! The imperishable realm expert didn't even have time to react before being sent flying by Lu Haotsang's palm. However, Lu Haotsang originally wanted to kill this person. However, the attacks of the other two saints had also arrived. Of course, he could kill the immortal stage saint just by spitting power from his palm. However, he would definitely be heavily injured by the other two. It was not worth it at all. Thus, at the last moment, he pulled back and retreated, avoiding the attacks of the two people. Trash! Seeing that the sage was sent flying, the profound sage coldly snorted in displeasure. The undead stage saint blushed because he had just said that he had killed Lu Haotsang not long ago. This was a great loss of face. The two immortal stage saints quickly closed in on Murong Yu, and one of them said in a deep voice, "Kill yourself." However, while they were talking, they didn't stop attacking. Streams of incomparably terrifying power continuously burst out from their hands, soaring to the heavens. Under the impact of their powers, the violent chaotic airflow was directly crushed into pieces. Layers of ripples appeared in the void as a result of the bombardment. However, although they were all immortal stage experts, the void of the holy world was countless times stronger than that of the divine world. Even profound sages couldn't break the void and create spatial turbulence. Even so, their momentum was monstrous, covering hundreds of millions of miles. It shattered and annihilated everything. The disciples of Blood Rain Mountain, who hadn't reached the immortal stage, had already retreated far away. With their realm, once they were brushed by Lu Haozong's power, they would immediately be crushed to pieces. Kill myself? What a joke! Lu Haozong couldn't help but sneer. His body, which was originally retreating, instantly turned into a charging gaze. Have a taste of my 10,000 kings slash. As he spoke, Lu Haozong suddenly slashed out with two hand blades. Chi. Two hand blades condensed from incomparably great power suddenly slashed out. Against the wind, they expanded in an instant and, like two sacred mountains, swiftly and violently chopped down on the two saints. A terrifying aura burst out, and the sky seemed to be cut in half. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The moment these two hand blades appeared, the disciples of Blood Rain Mountain, who were hundreds of millions of miles away, suddenly changed their expressions. This was because at this moment, terrifying saber chi tore through the void, slashing toward their physical bodies and even their souls. Their hearts trembled. Their souls were also trembling. At the first moment, these people quickly retreated. They had no choice but to retreat. The saber chi was becoming more and more terrifying. Their souls were in pain as if they would be cut into pieces at any time. As for the two immortal stage saints, they felt it more intensely than those people. A strong aura of death shrouded their hearts. At this moment, they knew that if they couldn't block this so-called 10,000 kings slash, they would definitely die. Flying rainbow scatter! One of the saints suddenly roared. He clasped his hands together and then suddenly released them. Suddenly, a seven-colored rainbow burst out, like hundreds of millions of sharp arrows, shooting toward one of the hand blades and Lu Haozong. Wherever it passed, the void shattered. The ear-piercing sound of something breaking through the air spread far and wide, shattering the eardrums of many disciples of Blood Rain Mountain in the distance and causing them to bleed from their 7 orifices. At the same time, the other immortal stage saint roared and flicked his finger. Suddenly, a red light shot out from his fingertip and collided with each other in the void. Then, it suddenly exploded into a cloud of blood mist, like the hand blade that slashed down from the sky, wanting to smash it into pieces. Looking at it, the blood mist was a long sword the size of a pinky finger. Small tricks. Let's see the power of the 10,000 kings slash. Lu Haozong stood where he was and sneered. Boom! Boom! The attacks from both sides rapidly bombarded each other in the void. After an earth-shattering explosion, they all exploded into pieces. Puff! Puff! The magic treasures and divine weapons of the two immortal stage saints seemed to have been shattered. Their minds were instantly injured, and they spat out blood. On the other hand, Lu Haozong acted as if nothing had happened. Chi. In fact, the so-called 10,000 kings slash by Lu Haozong was not just two-hand blade. Although the strength of the two-hand blades was very terrifying, the most terrifying thing was what happened next. After shattering the divine weapons of the two saints, the hand blades that were slashing down from the void immediately exploded. However, the explosion did not dissipate. Instead, it turned into two different shapes. Suddenly, each hand blade turned into hundreds of millions of miniature hand blades the size of a pinky finger. Like a storm, they covered the entire sky and pierced through the firmament, carrying a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth. A strong aura of death instantly filled the hearts of the 3 immortal stage experts. At this moment, they were shocked to find that they were surrounded by miniature hand blades that were shooting toward them from all directions, blocking all their escape routes. Moreover, the power of these hand blades was even more terrifying than before, causing their souls to tremble. There was no way out, they could only take it head-on. At this moment, the 3 of them quickly rushed to one side and then exploded with their strongest power, jointly holding up a huge energy shield. At the same time, their bodies shone with divine light as they took out all kinds of low-tier divine weapons. They had to do this because the 10,000 kings gave them too much pressure. If they were not careful, they would be killed. So what if they were in the immortal stage? It was not like they could not be killed. As for why they did not take out their high-tier divine weapons, that was because they did not have any high-tier divine weapons. In the holy world, even low-tier divine weapons were very rare. Bang, bang, bang. The 10,000 kings down. Every moment, the divine weapons that the saints took out were hit by hundreds of thousands, or even tens of millions of small hand blades. These low-tier divine weapons could not withstand it at all and began to explode after an instant of impact. Even if some of them could withstand it, the impact caused the minds of the three saints to tremble, and their souls to tremble as they vomited blood again and again. Moreover, the most terrifying thing about the 10,000 kings was that after a few rounds of attack, those small hand blades would explode. Once they exploded, the power that erupted was more than 100 times stronger than the hand blades. Therefore, the shields of these saints could not withstand it and were in imminent danger. Once the shields were broken, their bodies would be attacked by the 10,000 kings. Ancestor, save us! At this time, the three of them were finally frightened and asked the profound sage powerhouse for help. If that profound sage old ancestor didn't make a move, they would all die here. The profound sage ancestor had been indifferently watching the battle of Lu Haotsong's group of four, as if he did not want to intervene. But at this time, his expression changed. There were not many immortal stage existences in the Blood Rain Mountain. If one died, there would be one less, and that was a loss they could not bear. Therefore, the immortal stage ancestor took action. He let out a cold snort and stretched out his hand. His 5 fingers spread open as he grabbed at the hundreds of millions of tiny hand blades. Bang, bang, bang. Before the big hand arrived, the power that erupted from the 10,000 kings caused the small hand blades to explode one after another. In fact, the big hand had just stretched out, and the hundreds of millions of small hand blades of the 10,000 kings had almost all exploded. This was the difference between the profound sage realm and the immortal stage. 10,000 kings 10,000 kings 10,000 kings Lu Haotsong's expression changed slightly, and he repeatedly slashed out with both hands, creating terrifying hand blades that slashed at the profound sage ancestor. Stop for me! The profound sage ancestor sneered and grabbed at the air with his big hand. Suddenly, bang! The power that Lu Haotsong continuously struck out was directly crushed. Lu Haotsong's mind was also injured because of this, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. In fact, a powerful force even sent him flying. Chapter 12:12. Unable to withstand a single blow. This was the gap between the imperishable stage and the profound sage stage. Not to mention that Lu Haotsong was far from recovering to his peak strength. Even if he recovered to the peak of the 9th stage, imperishable stage, he still wouldn't be the opponent of this profound sage old ancestor. The gap between their realms was too big. However, if he was at his peak, even if he wasn't the old ancestor's opponent, he definitely wouldn't have been defeated in a single blow. Insignificant skill. You actually dared to kill people of my Blood Rain Mountain in the chaotic secret plane. You are really tired of living. The profound sage ancestor of Blood Rain Mountain looked at Lu Haotsong with disdain, his face full of contempt. However, although he despised Lu Haotsong, his speed wasn't fast, and his killing intent didn't diminish. He took a step forward, passing through endless time and space, and appeared in front of Lu Haotsong. He stretched out his big hand again, his 5 fingers spread open, and fiercely shot out. The void was instantly blown up, and a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth erupted. The 5 fingers suddenly appeared above Lu Haotsong's head and violently smashed down. Lu Haotsang was obviously surprised by the speed of the profound sage old ancestor. Moreover, he was still in the process of being sent flying. However, he was an imperishable stage powerhouse after all, and his reaction was naturally not slow. With a thought, a holy light burst out from his body and soared into the sky. The power of the meridians in his body was quickly mobilized by him, crazily rushing forward like a torrent. In an instant, Lu Haotsang's body swelled up. This was because a large amount of power had burst out in his body. 10,000 Emperors strike. Gathering all his power in his right hand, Lu Haotsang roared and once again struck out with one of his killing moves. A huge hand blade fiercely chopped out, its power shocking the world, wanting to split the sky. However, in the face of this terrifying blow, the profound sage old ancestor of Blood Rain Mountain just sneered. His 5 fingers violently smashed down, directly grabbing the rapidly enlarging hand blade. Then, the power of his 5 fingers gushed out, and with a bang, the hand blade was directly crushed. Puff! Lu Haotsang spat out another mouthful of blood. After the profound sage old ancestor crushed the 10,000 Emperor's strike, his 5 fingers didn't linger in the air, and once again smashed down. Lu Haotsang was shocked and furious. He unleashed his strongest attack and slashed out again and again. However, the disparity in strength was too great. The power he unleashed was simply unable to withstand a single blow. Ghostly shadow. Lu Haotsang was about to be crushed by the profound sage old ancestor's claw. But at this moment, he roared in his heart, and his figure suddenly scattered, turning into numerous phantoms. Then, his speed skyrocketed, and he retreated explosively. Puff! The moment he retreated, the void where he was originally at was crushed. The endless chaotic airflow was directly annihilated. Cough cough, Lu Haotsang coughed up blood again. Just now, he had suddenly used the demonic shadow to increase his speed and avoid the profound sage old ancestor's killing blow. However, the disparity in strength between the two sides was too great. While he was retreating, his body was still swept by the aftermath of the profound sage old ancestor's power. Looking from afar, Lu Haotsang's entire abdomen had been torn apart, and his internal organs were exposed. It was very frightening. Of course, these injuries were nothing to an imperishable stage powerhouse like him. He only needed to waste some power to restore himself to his peak. However, his mind was seriously injured, and it was not an exaggeration to say that he had been seriously injured. Seeing Lu Haotsang avoid his killing blow at the critical moment of life and death, the profound sage old ancestor of the Blood Rain Mountain was obviously very surprised. Unfortunately, if you were a friend, I would appreciate you very much. However, you killed so many disciples of my Blood Rain Mountain. You deserve to die, the profound sage old ancestor said indifferently, and then his big hand once again grabbed Lu Haotsang. At this time, Lu Haotsang's mind had been seriously injured, and he couldn't even display his previous strength. Therefore, he could only choose to retreat. In fact, Lu Haotsang originally didn't want to fight with this profound sage old ancestor. He knew that he was not his opponent. It was just that the other party was too fast, and as soon as he attacked, he was forced to fight back. If he hadn't fought back, he would have died long ago. Glancing at Morongyu, who was still breaking through, Lu Haotsang's figure flickered, and he shot to the other side. He didn't want the power of the battle to affect Morongyu. For a friend, Lu Haotsang being able to do this was already very kind. Morongyu, regardless of whether you succeed in breaking through or not, you'd better stop cultivating immediately and leave here. Otherwise, both of us will die here today, Lu Haotsang roared to Morongyu via sound transmission. Bang! At the same time, the Blood Rain Mountain's old ancestor punched Lu Haotsang. Although Lu Haotsang's reaction was extremely fast, and he avoided most of the power of the attack. However, that small amount of power almost caused his entire body to explode. He was seriously injured once again. The profound saint old ancestor snorted angrily, and a touch of displeasure flashed across his face. This was because Lu Haotsang had dodged his several attacks, which made him very angry. Blood rain cut. The profound saint old ancestor was furious, and he used a combat skill for the first time. A blood-red light gushed out from his palm. Then, it quickly condensed into a huge saber the size of a mountain in the sky. Cut! Following the profound saint old ancestor's roar, the huge saber fiercely slashed down. The void seemed to be cut in half, and the saber locked onto Lu Haotsang with a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth and slash down. At this moment, Lu Haotsang's face suddenly changed. The power of this saber was shocking, and he absolutely couldn't resist it. Moreover, he knew that this so-called blood rain cut not only cut the body, but also the soul. It mainly targeted the soul. If Lu Haotsang's body was cut in half by this blood rain cut, then his soul would also be cut in half. At that time, he would really die. Run! Lu Haotsang was horrified. He didn't have any sacred tools on him, and he simply couldn't resist this blood rain cut with his strength. Therefore, he could only escape. However, how could the profound saint old ancestor's full strength slash be so easy to avoid? When Lu Haotsang wanted to escape, he was shocked to find that it was as if he had fallen into a quagmire, and it was difficult for him to move. However, the blood rain cut suddenly accelerated and slashed down. I'm finished. At this moment, this was the only thought that appeared in Lu Haotsang's mind. He knew that he couldn't avoid this attack. However, just as he was in despair, a voice sounded. Spatial barrier, spatial shackle, spatial storm, spatial cut, spatial shield. At the same time, Lu Haotsang suddenly found that there were layers of ripples in the void around him. In fact, there were even streams of power acting on his body, seemingly protecting him. In addition, the force that was binding his physical body also disappeared. Lu Haotsang was overjoyed, and he instantly unleashed his strongest attack, his figure fiercely rushing forward. Boom! Just as he flew out, the blood rain slash had already slashed down. After an earth-shattering sound, a huge crater with an area of hundreds of millions of miles appeared on the ground. It was so deep that the bottom couldn't be seen. The terrifying impact swept out, and wherever it passed, the void shattered, and the earth was razed to the ground. Although Lu Haotsang managed to escape first, the shock waves of the attack still landed on his body. Half of his body was instantly annihilated. However, it was his soul that made him cry out in pain. A small half of his soul was shattered. His soul was seriously injured. Lu Haotsang felt bitter in his heart, but his speed didn't stop, and he continued to fly forward. Don't resist. Just as he was flying, Murong Yu's voice sounded in his ear. Then, he felt a powerful suction force wrap around him. Lu Haotsang didn't resist, and with a swish, he disappeared. Disappeared? What's going on? Seeing Lu Haotsang disappear into thin air, the profound sage ancestor and the others of the Blood Rain Mountain all showed a touch of suspicion on their faces. Ancestor, that pseudo-sage is also gone. At this moment, an undead sage turned his head and glanced at the side where Murong Yu was cultivating, and found that Murong Yu had already left at some point. They all escaped? The profound sage ancestor's face changed greatly, and he instantly became gloomy. Even with him making a move, an undead sage and a pseudo-sage actually escaped? How could he have any face left? In particular, Murong Yu could absorb the power of primal chaos. He was someone he must take down. Trash! The profound sage ancestor angrily shouted. It was unknown whether he was scolding himself or others. Ancestor, what should we do now? They actually escaped, and where did they enter this secret plane? An undead sage walked up and asked. Search. Even if you have to dig 3 feet into the secret plane, you must find them for me. At the same time, guard the exit. The profound sage ancestor's face was gloomy, and he was furious, feeling extremely humiliated. Thus, many disciples of the Blood Rain Mountain began to search for Morong Yu and Lu Haochen in the primal chaos secret plane. Then, where were Morong Yu and Lu Haochen at this time? Had they left the secret plane, or were they still inside? Morong Yu and Lu Haochen hadn't left the primal chaos secret plane, but they were still inside, but in the Hichu Luoshu world. Old Lu, are you okay? Looking at Lu Haotsong, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, recuperating, Morong Yu asked somewhat worriedly. Lu Haotsong slowly opened his eyes, and his face was full of a helpless smile. I won't die for the time being. However, the injuries to my mind and soul are too serious. I'm afraid it will take a very long time for them to recover. Now I have to hurry up and heal, otherwise my soul will have sequelae. Morong Yu furrowed his brows. His injuries are that serious? Let me see if I can help you heal. As he spoke, his life force madly poured into Lu Haotsong's body. Under the treatment of the life force, Lu Haotsong's physical injuries quickly recovered. In less than half a day, he was completely healed. However, his mind and soul didn't improve in the slightest. How could the soul of a sage be so easily healed? Moreover, this was precisely why Morong Yu didn't erase the blood curse in Lu Haotsong's soul. He didn't have the ability to do so now. Chapter 12-13. A few days later, Morong Yu finally gave up on healing Lu Haotsong's soul and mind. After a few days of hard work, there was no progress at all. With his current level of life force, it had no effect on Lu Haotsong's soul at all. Although Lu Haotsong's soul wasn't a sage. How bad could the soul of an imperishable sage be? Especially the mind, it couldn't be seen or touched, and it couldn't be healed. And if he wanted to recover, he could only rely on Lu Haotsong to slowly repair it himself. But it might take a very long time. I'm going to cultivate in seclusion. Lu Haotsong sighed and prepared to go into seclusion to repair his soul. However, he didn't feel sorry. Although he entered the holy world with Morong Yu, he didn't expect to be able to leave as soon as he came. After all, he would be discovered by the ancestor of the Blood Rain Mountain as soon as he appeared, and then he would be hunted down endlessly. He also wanted to stay in the Hichu Luoshu world. Now that he was here to repair his soul, he just didn't want to leave the Hichu Luoshu. It wasn't a big deal. Don't be in a hurry to go into seclusion. Morong Yu immediately stopped Lu Haotsong. What a joke. He still needed Lu Haotsong to lead him out of the chaotic secret plane. Moreover, he also needed to understand the background of the holy world. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know when he would die if he just rashly wandered around the holy world. Then let's leave here quickly. I need to go into seclusion to repair my soul as soon as possible. Lu Haotsong was a little anxious. After all, he injured his soul, and if there were any sequelae, it would be fatal. Morong Yu nodded and immediately left the Hichu Luoshu. According to Lu Haotsong's guidance, he flew toward the exit of the chaotic secret plane. Of course, he was flying invisibly. Otherwise, if he swaggered through the void, he would definitely be courting death. When he came to the exit, Morong Yu was depressed. There were many people at the exit, including saints in the imperishable realm. This was not a big deal to Morong Yu. As long as he hid himself and was careful, they should not be able to discover him. However, the exit was a teleportation array. Once he stepped into the teleportation array, he would definitely cause the teleportation array to fluctuate. At that time, those people would know that someone was secretly using the teleportation array. At that time, as long as any one of them casually slapped down, Morong Yu would be dead. As long as a teleportation array was used for teleportation, there would definitely be energy fluctuations. Because of this, Morong Yu stopped not far from the transmission formation and stared at it from afar, thinking about how to leave this place. However, the transmission array was firmly enveloped by the divine senses of the powerhouses of Bloodrain Mountain, so he had no chance to rush in. Old Lu, what's the situation in the Saints' world? Tell me the general situation. In the end, Murong Yu could only helplessly enter the Hichu Luoshu. The Saints' world is extremely large. It can be described as boundless. Even if there were 1,000,000,000,000 divine worlds, they would not be as big as the holy world. And after countless years, there are many saints in the Saints' world. Because if you don't die in battle or in an accident, once you reach the undying realm, you are practically immortal. Lu Haotsong muttered to himself for a moment, then slowly said, in the Saints' world, it could be said that there was only one big family. The Saints' race were the natives of the Saints' world. They were spread across the vast majority of the Saints' world. Apart from them, there were also the human race and demon race that ascended from the divine world. The human race and demon race also occupied a part of the Saints' world. However, compared to the Saints' race, they were only the tip of the iceberg. They were located in the most remote corner of the Saints' world. It was not an exaggeration to say that they were struggling at death's door. The human race was like a giant country that was jointly ruled by an alliance. The highest rulers of this alliance seemed to be the few supremes of the human race. However, supreme being level experts generally wouldn't care about such things. Moreover, it was said that there were not many supremes of the human race. After all, there were at most 10 supremes in the entire Saints' world. At the peak of the human race, there were not more than 3 supremes. It was also because of the existence of these supremes that the Saints' world could live in peace on the surface. There were no large-scale wars. Otherwise, even if the human race and demon race joined forces, they would not be Shenzhen's opponent. Under the alliance of the human race, there were many countries of different sizes. The kings of these countries were generally primal chaos ancestor-level existences. Only those who reached the primal chaos ancestor level could establish a country. Usually, these countries were called Saints' empires. The kings of these Saints' empires were also called Holy Lord. The Saints' empires were extremely large. The smallest Saints' empires were 10 times the size of the divine world. The largest Saints' empires were even more boundless. Of course, the size of a Saint's empires depended on the strength of the Holy Lord and the number of experts in the Saints' empires. The stronger the Holy Lord, the stronger the Saints' empires. This was because they could establish a bigger country. In the Saints' empires, the people of every city were appointed by the Saints' empires. They were the ministers of the Saints' empires and had a salary from the Saints' empires. Murong Yu frowned slightly. According to what you said, there shouldn't be any forces or sects in the Saints' world. What's the situation with Bloodrain Mountain? Lu Haotsong shook his head and continued, listen to me first. In the Saints' world, every Saint's empires are made up of countless states, counties, and prefectures. Among them, the state is the largest and has many counties under it. Prefectures are the smallest administrative divisions in the Saints' empires. Every prefecture is made up of many cities. In the Saints' empires, almost all the cities belong to the Saints' empires. But there are some exceptions. For example, some forces have their own cities. Although these cities are in the Saints' empires, the ownership does not belong to the Saints' empires. And for existences like Blood Rain Mountain, they don't have their own cities and only live in Blood Rain Mountain. They are the citizens of the Saints' empires, but not their subjects. But because they live in the Saints' empire's territory, they must pay a certain amount of taxes to the Saints' empires. And if the Saints' empires give orders, they must carry it out unconditionally. Otherwise, they will be attacked by the Saints' army. Lu Haotsong didn't say it very clearly, but Murong Yu still understood it clearly. 4 forces like Blood Rain Mountain, although they are not part of the Saints' empires, they are still citizens of the Saints' empires. They must pay taxes and carry out the Saints' orders. It's that simple. So, in the Saints' world, if you want to survive and obtain a good cultivation environment, then the best way is to join a Saints' empires. Because in the Saints' empires, the Saints' personnel are the most powerful. Next is to join a force. The stronger the force, the more powerful it is. Among them, rogue cultivators are the most miserable, because they basically don't have any cultivation resources. Morong-yu nodded. The Saints' world is actually not much different from the Saints' world. It's just that there is an additional Saints' empires. It's like the secular world's imperial court and the martial arts sections. However, the Saints' empire's deterrence is much stronger than the secular world's imperial court. Because the secular world's imperial court can't do anything to the martial arts sections. Want to join a force? Morong-yu laughed. He suddenly thought that since he entered the world of cultivation, if he didn't join a sect, that sect would eventually be destroyed. It's the same even in the gods' world. If I join a saint's empire, then will that saint's empire eventually be destroyed? Morong-yu thought in his heart and couldn't help but laugh. Forget it, there are too many things in the saint's world. I won't be able to talk about it for a few years. I'll send some of my memories directly to you. Lu Haotsong thought about it and directly sent his memories into Morong-yu's mind. Since he can't leave the primal chaos secret plane, Morong-yu simply digested these memories. Profound Sage, Ancient Sage, Sage King, Ancestor Sage, and then Primal Chaos Ancestor Sage. If you want to establish a country, you must have the strength of a Primal Chaos Ancestor Sage. Otherwise, no one will recognize it, and they won't have the ability to protect a newly established country. Primal Chaos Ancestor Sage is already the strongest existence under the Supremes. It seems that it's impossible for me to establish a country in the Saints' world. Then I'll establish Shenzhen first. Morong-yu thought in his heart. Establishing a country requires the Primal Chaos Ancestor Sage realm, but establishing a sect is not necessary. In fact, even a sage can establish a sect. But if you're too weak, it's useless even if you establish a sect. Moreover, you'll be destroyed by other forces. Even in the human world, it's very cruel. After all, this is a world where the strong preys on the weak. Strength is the truth. As Morong-yu continued to digest Lu Haotsong's memories, he became more and more shocked. He wasn't shocked by how many memories Lu Haotsong had. As an imperishable sage, Lu Haotsong has only been to the tip of the iceberg of the Saints' world. This shows how big the Saints' world is. This didn't shock Morong-yu, but he was shocked by the strength of the sacred race. Whether it's in terms of numbers or peak experts, the sacred race has more experts than the human and demon races combined. They're much stronger than them. If the sacred race wants to destroy the human and demon races, it should be possible. But just like what Lu Haotsong said, it's because there's a supreme supporting them. If the human or demon race's supreme falls, the human and demon races might be wiped out by the sacred race. The human race is still too weak. Morong-yu thought in his heart. Although the human race of the Saints' world wants to destroy the God world, they're still humans after all. They're from the same race as Morong-yu, people in the same boat. Oh right, Hichu, who do you think killed war god Zhao Yun? Morong-yu suddenly thought of this question and asked. Morong-yu has asked this question many times. But Hichu has always avoided answering. You're too weak. The time isn't right. As expected, Hichu answered. Could it be a supreme or even a ruler? Morong-yu rolled his eyes. Avenging Zhao Yun has become a knot in his heart. The sacred race doesn't only consist of the human race, but also the dragon race, phoenix race, and many other races? Dragon race and phoenix race? Morong-yu's eyes suddenly flashed. Chapter 12-14. Dragon Race and Phoenix Race. Morong-yu has never seen the Phoenix Race in person, but Zhao Jiqing has the bloodline of the Phoenix Race, which is one of the supreme sacred beasts. The same goes for the Dragon Race. In the mortal world, He has heard of the dragon race and phoenix race. It's just that the versions that have been circulating describe the dragon race and phoenix race as divine beasts. But in the divine world, there is no such thing as the dragon race and phoenix race. If Murong Yu hadn't seen the dragon race and phoenix race, he would have even doubted the existence of these races in the world. Turns out that these are all sacred beasts, one of the natives of the sacred world. In addition to the phoenix race and dragon race, there are many other sacred beast races. They are all part of the sacred race. In other words, the sacred race is just a general race. The sacred race can also be subdivided into the human race, the general demon race, the dragon race, the phoenix race, and so on. I wonder what the dragon-shaped key has to do with the dragon race. Could it be the key to open a secret place of the dragon group? Murong Yu thought of the dragon-shaped keys again. Just as Murong Yu was thinking, he suddenly caught a glimpse of several figures flying over from afar, heading towards the teleportation array. These people are leaving the Chaos Secret Place? With a thought, Murong Yu controlled the He-2 and the Book of the Luo, which had already turned into particles and charged out. Because those people flew over from afar. When Murong Yu controlled He-2 Luo-shu to appear in the void, those people just happened to bump into them. Then, under Murong Yu's control, He-2 Luo-shu cleverly stuck to one of the sacred beasts without leaving a trace. You want to leave the Chaos Secret Place? The powerhouses guarding the teleportation array didn't immediately let them go after seeing them, but instead, they interrogated them. They even began to examine the souls of these people. Maybe they were afraid that Lu Haotsong and the others would turn into their disciples and steal this place. In fact, they also felt that all of this was too careful. After all, Lu Haotsong had killed so many of their people that his soul was covered in the power of the blood curse. They could sense it before he even got close. As for Murong Yu, who was at the level of false saint, they didn't take him seriously at all. After the investigation, the sages activated the transmission array and returned to the Blood Rain Mountain. Naturally, Murong Yu, who was attached to one of the sages, also left the chaotic secret plane. In the next period of time, should we go to the Blood Rain Mountain's treasury or leave the Blood Rain Mountain? After leaving the teleportation formation, Murong Yu left the body of the disciple of the Saint of Blood Rain Mountain and floated between heaven and earth. Although I've successfully condensed the divine body, my cultivation hasn't stabilized yet. If my body is destroyed, I may fall to the divine body realm at any time. Moreover, the restrictions and formations of the saint's world were far too powerful. Even if I can disregard the formations and restrictions, who knows if I can really travel back and forth between these formations and restrictions? Let's find a place to settle down first. After stabilizing my cultivation, I'll decide what to do next. Murong Yu pondered for a moment and finally left the Blood Rain Mountain. The Blood Rain Mountain was within the Holy World's human race's 9 holy empires, southern paradise. Not far from the Blood Rain Mountain was a city, White Sun City. White Sun City was an ordinary city within the southern paradise. According to Lu Haotsong's memories, the strongest city lord in this city was only at the Undying Realm. The Southern Paradise City's city lord was also the Southern Paradise's manor lord, an ancient sage expert. The county city lord was even stronger, reaching the Sage King realm. Therefore, an Undying Realm city lord was only considered an ordinary city lord in the Holy Fruit. The city was definitely not big. At least, that was what Lu Haotsong thought in his memories. However, when Murong Yu arrived outside the White Sun City, he felt depressed. The White Sun City was indeed not big, but it wasn't small either. It was at least 1,000 times bigger than the biggest city in the divine world. Looking from afar, the White Sun City was much bigger than the Holy World's Shenzhen. Looks like I can't look at the Holy World the same way I look at the divine world. Otherwise, I'll misunderstand, Murong Yu muttered in his heart, then quickly flew towards the White Sun City. When he arrived at the city gate, Murong Yu obediently landed. Because there was a large group of people in front of him waiting to enter the city. Moreover, they seemed to have to pay an entrance tax. Murong Yu's expression changed slightly. He was poor, he couldn't even take out a few saint crystals, how could he pay the entrance tax? Moreover, these sages seemed to have an identity token. It was equivalent to their identity card. Come out. When Murong Yu's expression changed, one of the guards suddenly pointed at him and shouted. Murong Yu narrowed his eyes slightly. After thinking about it, he still walked out. You just condensed a sage physique? Murong Yu's aura was still unstable. One moment she was in the sage realm, and the next moment she was in the false sage realm. Therefore, others could tell her cultivation realm at a glance. Murong Yu nodded and replied. You don't have an identity card? The sage soldier looked at Murong Yu sharply. Murong Yu immediately asked, Yes, sir, I was originally in a small village. It wasn't easy for me to break through to the sage realm, so I wanted to find a job in the city. In the holy world, other than the cities and various sects, there were many other places with sages. In fact, the holy world was like the secular world, there were also small villages and the like. Moreover, not everyone in the holy world was a sage. There were false sages, and there were even people below the false sage realm. After all, not everyone would be a saint once they were born. Are you here to join the army or just to stay in the city? The soldier asked again. Sir, I want to stay in the White Sun City temporarily. After my cultivation realm stabilizes, I will join the army. Murong Yu pretended to be respectful and replied. The Holy Empire was very welcoming to these people who came from small villages and towns. It was fine to stay in the city or join the army. Kid, I think you are cut out for the army. How about joining the army? After joining the army, you will become a member of the Holy Empire of Nine, and you will also be able to receive consecrations. If you stay in the city, you will have to pay taxes. The soldier slapped Murong Yu's shoulder, causing Murong Yu to grimace. Sir, I also want to join the army. But didn't I just break through to the sage realm? My cultivation realm is still unstable, and if I join the army, I won't have much time to consolidate my cultivation. I don't want my cultivation to fall to the false sage realm. In that case, you can go in first. After you go in, report to the city lord's mansion. Remember, don't try to get away with it. Once you are found out, you will die without a doubt. The soldier warned, and then let Murong Yu enter the city. In the city, low-altitude flying was allowed. Therefore, after Murong Yu entered the city, he soared into the sky and flew towards the city lord of the White Sun City. If he wanted to stay in the city, he had to get an identity from the Holy Empire of Nine. You can have a room in the city, but you have to pay enough taxes for 100 years. You can choose to plant the Saint Valley or breed animals. You can also go outside the city to hunt for the saint cores of demonic beasts and vicious beasts. Because you are new here, you don't have to pay taxes immediately, and you can delay it for 50 years. Which method do you choose now? In the city lord's mansion, an official asked Murong Yu in a deep voice. I choose to hunt for the saint cores of demonic beasts. Murong Yu said without hesitation. Are you sure you want to hunt for the saint cores of demonic beasts? Those are the saint cores of demonic beasts that are at least at the sage realm. The official said with a frown. In the holy world, demonic beasts or vicious beasts of the same cultivation realm were far stronger than cultivators of the same cultivation realm. Moreover, the official didn't think that Murong Yu could consolidate his cultivation within 50 years. Moreover, even if he consolidated his cultivation realm, would he be able to hunt for the saint cores of demonic beasts? If he couldn't hunt for the saint cores of demonic beasts within the time limit, Murong Yu would be captured and forced to work as a slave. He would only be able to regain his freedom after earning enough taxes. Normally, people like Murong Yu would choose to plant, because planting would give him more time, and as long as he took good care of it, there would definitely be a harvest. Yes, I'm sure. Murong Yu said resolutely. What a joke, asking him to plant or breed animals. Wouldn't that be a waste of his time? Immediately, Murong Yu received his identity card from the Holy Kingdom of Nine and went to an independent house in the city. Although the house wasn't big, it wouldn't be a problem for a few hundred people to live in it. Moreover, there was a guarantee of safety. After all, this was the property of the Holy Kingdom of Nine. After returning home, Murong Yu entered the Hichu Luoshu world. The energy of heaven and earth in the Holy World was denser than in the Hichu Luoshu world. Ever since Murong Yu condensed his saint body, the Hichu Luoshu world was gradually transforming into the Holy World. A small amount of energy of heaven and earth had already appeared in the Holy World. However, Murong Yu wasn't cultivating now. He was just consolidating his cultivation. What could be faster than accelerating time to consolidate one's cultivation? He directly ignited his chaotic saint veins, activated time acceleration, and began consolidating his cultivation. In fact, Murong Yu hadn't reached the saint realm yet. He had only condensed his saint body. In other words, his body and soul had already reached the saint realm, but he was still lacking in cultivation. However, this was also what made Murong Yu depressed, because he hadn't broken through to the 7th level of the chaotic celestial record. However, from another point of view, he had already stepped into the saint realm. After all, his soul had already become a saint realm. If he only cultivated his soul, he would also be a saint. However, what made him pleasantly surprised was that after he entered the Holy World, he could comprehend the 7th level of the chaotic celestial record. As long as he had time, breaking through to the 7th level wouldn't be a problem at all. Half a day later in the real world, Murong Yu came out of the Hichu Luoshu world. At this time, he had completely consolidated his body and cultivation. However, he now seemed to have returned to the false saint realm. However, his body vaguely emitted an extremely powerful aura, which was clearly extremely explosive. Chapter 12:15. It's time to hunt monsters. After consolidating his physical body, Murong Yu left his residence and came to the city gate. He was going to leave the city to hunt monsters or fierce beasts in the wild. Hey you're leaving White Sun City? The soldiers standing guard at the door were still the same ones he saw before. At this time, the soldier who interrogated Murong Yu before asked in surprise after seeing Murong Yu. He was surprised that Murong Yu was leaving after less than a day in the city. Most people would not leave in a short period of time. Moreover, what shocked him the most was that Murong Yu's originally chaotic aura had stabilized. Boy, your realm fell? Another soldier also walked over and looked at Murong Yu in surprise. Murong Yu's face darkened. This is what happens when one's realm is unstable. The two soldiers immediately looked at Murong Yu with sympathy. They had encountered this kind of thing occasionally. They were all rogue cultivators who had no resources. Even after breaking through, if they did not immediately stabilize their cultivation, it was easy to fall. Brother, why aren't you improving your cultivation in the city and planting the sacred valley and the like? Although your realm has fallen, you can still improve it if you seize the time to cultivate. If you don't have resources, I can lend you a few saint crystals. The first soldier who interrogated Murong Yu took out a few saint crystals and was about to hand them to Murong Yu. Murong Yu was stunned, and then a touch of gratitude appeared on his face. How can I accept this? It's not easy for you guys. Truth be told, Murong Yu wasn't someone who would be moved so easily. He wasn't a greenhorn. However, he did not show anything strange. These two ordinary soldiers were not deliberately trying to get close to him. In other words, the two of them really cared about Murong Yu. They were really good people. In fact, Murong Yu also saw their white light without the slightest bit of black light. They were really good people. However, one must always be on guard against others. Murong Yu wouldn't trust them so easily. Even if he could read their minds, he could only vaguely sense what they were thinking. After all, their cultivation levels were higher than Murong Yu's, and they were more powerful. Brother, just take it that I'm making a friend with you. You have to believe in your brother. I'm a very good judge of character. I believe that you will soar to the sky in the end. As he spoke, Fu Tian stuffed 5 saint crystals into Murong Yu's hand. Beside him, Su Guang looked at Fu Tian speechlessly and said with a smile, Fu Tian, we have been soldiers here for countless years. Even if you don't have 100,000 people in your eyes, you have at least 80,000, right? Why haven't I seen anyone soar into the sky? Fu Tian's face turned red. You don't say, from the first time I saw this brother. My name is Murong Yu. Murong Yu quickly said. Fu Tian nodded and patted Murong Yu's shoulder. From the first time I saw Brother Murong Yu, I felt that he was not an ordinary person. I believe that he will definitely soar to the sky. Su Guang's face darkened. He had heard Fu Tian say this many times. According to his understanding, Fu Tian was a hypocritical good person. With their position, they could earn a lot of money. However, Fu Tian's resources were barely enough for his own cultivation. This was because he had to help others. All right. I accept Big Brother Fu Tian's kind words. If I can soar to the sky in the future, I will definitely not forget your kindness. Murong Yu said with a serious expression. Then, he took the saint crystals from Fu Tian and was about to leave the city gate. However, he was stopped by Fu Tian. Why are you not cultivating? What are you going to do? It's getting dark, and the wilderness is very dangerous. When it's dark, demonic beasts will run rampant. I'm going to hunt some demonic beasts for their saint cores, Murong Yu said bluntly. However, his words gave Fu Tian and Yi Fu Tian a fright. As for Fu Tian, he grabbed Murong Yu's shoulder and anxiously said, Murong Yu, it's not that I'm looking down on you, but how are you going to hunt demonic beasts with your current strength? You need demonic beasts that are at least level 1 saints, and you need 100 of them. I'm afraid you can't even kill one demonic beast. Su Guang also frowned and said, Why did you choose this? If you plant Saint Valley in the city, your safety will increase greatly. Those are not suitable for me. Moreover, I'm just going to give it a try. If it doesn't work, I'll come back immediately. Both of you, I appreciate your kindness, but I must go. After saying that, he broke free from Fu Tian's hand and left. Fu Tian wanted to say something, but Su Guang stopped him. Forget it, it's good to let him hit a wall. He can come to White Sun City alone, so he must be quite capable. However, Fu Tian only shook his head and sighed. What Fu Tian and Su Guang didn't expect was that their kindness today would allow them to soar into the sky in the future and enter a realm that they never dared to imagine. Of course, this was a story for later. After Murong Yu left White Sun City, he went straight ahead. On the way, he even spread his angel's wings. At this time, the angel's wings and Murong Yu's soul mutation had undergone some changes. In the beginning, the angel's wings were white and flawless, like an angel's. Later, after his soul mutation, the angel's wings also became Hell's ice flames, completely composed of Hell's ice flames. However, now it was gradually turning black, like the power of chaos. However, it was also mixed with the power of Hell's ice flames. Murong Yu had a feeling that after his angel's wings completely transformed into the power of chaos, he would enter the next stage of the army symbol technique. In the holy world, even false saints could fly in the sky. However, their speed was not fast. In fact, the average saint's speed was not necessarily that fast. However, the speed of the angel's wings far exceeded the saint realm. According to Hichu's words, Murong Yu's speed was comparable to the great saint realm. However, this also gave Murong Yu a big blow. Because in the divine world, his speed was faster than the experts who were several realms higher than him. However, thinking that this was the holy world, he felt relieved. There were two vast mountain ranges near White Sun City. One was the Blood Rain Mountain, which had the Blood Rain Mountain and some other sections. The other mountain range was the White Sun Mountain Range. The heaven and earth origin energy in this mountain range was very rich, even more than the Blood Rain Mountain. However, there was no sect here. This was because there were many demonic beasts and vicious beasts in the White Sun Mountain Range. There were even ninth-stage profound sages and terrifying existences that had reached the ancient sage realm. Usually, human cultivators would hunt demonic beasts in the White Sun Mountain Range. At this time, Murong Yu had already arrived at the periphery of the White Sun Mountain Range, handing in 100 sage cores in 100 years, which is 1 per year. Really black-hearted. Murong Yu was a little unhappy in his heart. However, living under someone else's roof could only be bullied. There weren't many demonic beasts in the periphery. Occasionally, he would see some demonic beasts or vicious beasts in the vicinity. However, Murong Yu didn't make a move. Even if these demonic beasts were killed, they wouldn't have any effect on him. Young master, you'd better start collecting everything that contains powerful energy. It will be of great use to you. Hichu's voice suddenly sounded. What's the use? Murong Yu was startled. You will know when the time comes. For example, sage cores, sage crystal life veins, and even various sage tools. Don't miss anything that contains a huge amount of energy. Murong Yu rolled his eyes. Hichu, this guy always spoke like this. He always said the beginning and didn't continue, which made his heart itch. Croak. Suddenly, a loud frog croak came from afar. The sound was so loud that Murong Yu's eardrums almost burst. At the same time, a giant black frog the size of a small mountain appeared in Murong Yu's sight. Before Murong Yu could figure out why there would be frogs in the forest, a huge black tongue shot out from the giant frog's mouth. Asterisk chi chi, asterisk wherever it passed, the void seemed to shatter, and the air exploded. An extremely strong and dangerous aura rushed over. Murong Yu was shocked, because when he saw the tongue, it had already appeared in front of him. An incomparably foul stench assailed Murong Yu's nostrils, almost causing him to faint. What a fast speed! Murong Yu exclaimed in his heart and immediately threw out a punch. Be careful, this is the Broken Sun Dark Giant Frog. It's at least a 3rd level saint. It's extremely strong and poisonous. Hichu's warning rang in Murong Yu's ears, but it was too late. Murong Yu's fist had already collided with the Broken Sun Dark Giant Frog's tongue. As soon as they came into contact, Murong Yu only felt softness in his hand. Moreover, he was surprised to find that the power he threw out was quickly dissipated. However, in the instant he was surprised, the Broken Sun Dark Giant Frog's tongue suddenly hardened. A wave of power that was as shocking as a tsunami burst out. Boom, crack, crack, Murong Yu's large hand immediately broke apart. That huge force quickly rushed up his arm and into his body. Murong Yu's face turned pale with fright. With a thought, his angelic wings flapped fiercely as he retreated in a flash. However, the Broken Sun Dark Giant Frog's tongue was like a shadow, and it chased after him like a gangrene. In fact, Murong Yu even saw the giant Sun Dark Frog's tongue curl up and swallow his severed arm. Seeing that his arm was swallowed, Murong Yu was instantly enraged. However, the Broken Sun Dark Giant Frog was much stronger than him, and there was no way he could withstand it. Therefore, with a thought, he took out Hichu Luoshu and the Yin-Yang Cauldron to block in front of him. Bang! Bang! After 2 muffled sounds, the 2 super treasures were directly blasted away. On the other hand, Murong Yu's mind was greatly shaken, as if his mind was being torn apart. Chapter 12:16. Bang! Hichu Luoshu and the Yin-Yang Cauldron were sent flying by the Broken Sun Dark Frog's tongue. The incomparably stinky tongue, which carried a terrifying aura that could destroy the world, continued to rush towards Murong Yu without any hesitation. A loud muffled sound rang out as the tongue slammed into Murong Yu's body. In an instant, an incomparably terrifying force bombarded his body. Crack crack, a sound like crystal cracking was heard. Murong Yu's clothes were torn to shreds. His body began to crack like porcelain. In just the blink of an eye, his entire physical body was almost shattered. This was even after Murong Yu had quickly retreated. Otherwise, his physical body might not have cracked. However, he would be caught by the broken sun dark frog's tongue. If Murong Yu were to be caught, he would most likely be devoured by the giant frog. Whoosh! As his body cracked, Murong Yu felt a chill all over his body. Then, he saw that his entire body had unknowingly turned pitch black, as if he was covered in ink. At the same time, an extremely strange power rushed towards his mind and soul at a rapid speed. Poison! He was poisoned. Murong Yu instantly came to his senses. However, his entire body had started to fester. His body, which had reached the holy physique level, had turned into mud and was extremely loose. There was no power at all. At the same time, the power in his body was being invaded quickly and his meridians were being swallowed. In just a breath's time, it was not even enough. Murong Yu's realm and strength dropped to the level of a rank 10 quasi-saint. This shocked him greatly. His dark face changed drastically. The power in his body was converted into life force and was about to expel the poison and repair his body. However, he was shocked to find that the poison had entered his soul space. It's over. Murong Yu never thought that the poison of the broken sun dark frog would be so terrifying and fast. With a thought, he was about to recall the yin-yang cauldron and use the flame of chaos to burn the poison. However, it was too late. Before the yin-yang cauldron entered his soul space, the poison had already invaded his soul. Murong Yu's heart sank and he immediately went crazy. He controlled the yin-yang cauldron to rush in faster. He would not give up until the last moment. As the poison invaded his soul, Murong Yu could only stand on the spot and could not continue to retreat because his realm had plummeted. At this moment, the broken sun dark frog's tongue tore through the void again and swept over. It was about to wrap around Murong Yu's body. Suddenly, Murong Yu felt his body tighten. He scanned with divine thought and saw that his body had been wrapped by the broken sun dark frog. At the same time, a strong force acted on his body, pulling him into the giant sun breaker dark frog's mouth. The frog wanted to devour Murong Yu. Although Murong Yu had noticed it, he didn't do anything. Because he was powerless. The first thing that was the most God. The terrifying poison had come into contact with his soul. Just as Murong Yu thought that a large part of his soul would be invaded, there was a sudden change. Boom! Murong Yu's soul shook violently. Following that, a black sacred light burst out from his soul and soared into the sky. At this moment, his soul seemed to have turned into a burning flame. It seemed transparent and pure black at the same time. An incomparably powerful force fiercely emanated from the soul, sweeping through the entire soul space. The terrifying aura even spread out of Murong Yu's body and swept in all directions. Plop! Plop! The power was like the power to destroy the heavens. It instantly swept through the soul space where Murong Yu was. When the terrifying aura enveloped their hearts, the souls of countless living beings in the area trembled violently. They could not help but kneel as if they had seen a superior. In the end, countless living beings directly knelt on the ground and surrendered. Even the giant sun dark frog that was using its tongue to wrap around Murong Yu's body shook violently. In an instant it threw Murong Yu away. Although it did not kneel on the ground, its soul was terrified. It did not dare to continue attacking or escape. Presumably, it was resisting the terrifying pressure that caused even its soul to tremble. At the same time that terrifying aura was released, Murong Yu's soul burned like a ball of flame of chaos. Then, he counterattacked. The poison that came into contact with the soul first made a sharp and unpleasant sound. Then, under Morong Yu's gaze, they were annihilated. In less than a breath's time, the poison that invaded his soul space was completely annihilated. And this was just the beginning. The flame of chaos that erupted from the soul quickly spread out of the soul space. Then, it quickly burned in Morong Yu's body. In an instant, Morong Yu's entire body was burning with the black flame of chaos. As soon as the poison came into contact with the flame of chaos, it was annihilated. In fact, before Morong Yu could react, his body's speed had been completely annihilated. At the same time, his life force was also quickly flushed. His body quickly recovered to its peak. Is this one of the powers of the soul sanctification? Morong Yu was shocked. He immediately communicated with Hichu. It should be. Everyone with a soul sanctification has some special abilities. You need to explore them well. If you use them well, they're much stronger than those with a soul sanctification physical body and cultivation. Hichu was not very clear, but he still said so. Morong Yu nodded and then pondered. The soul could unleash a power that could shock all living beings. And it could even burn the flame of chaos. This flame could easily annihilate the poison of the giant frog. One must know that whether it was Morong Yu's physical body, saint energy or life force, they could not do anything to the poison. In other words, the flame of chaos that erupted from the soul was much stronger than any of his current powers. I wonder if I can use this power? This thought suddenly appeared in Morong Yu's mind. Boom! Just as this thought appeared in his mind, his soul that had returned to its original state shook violently again. The flame of chaos appeared again. Morong Yu was pleasantly surprised. With a thought, he grabbed at the air with his big hand. The next moment, he was pleasantly surprised to see a ball of flame of chaos in his palm. It was a ball of flame that was as black as ink. It was burning and dancing in Morong Yu's palm. However, Morong Yu did not feel any temperature from the flame. It was neither cold nor hot. He did not even feel any power from the flame. However, Morong Yu absolutely didn't believe that the primal spiritual flame didn't have any power. Croak! At this moment, the giant frog roared loudly. Its eyes were filled with fear as it looked at Morong Yu. Or rather, it was looking at the ball of flame of chaos in Morong Yu's hand. Then, it turned around abruptly and quickly fled into the distance. Where do you think you're going? Morong Yu roared violently. He took a step forward and charged forward with a teleport. Then, he slapped his big hand out. The big hand that contained the flame of chaos pressed directly on the giant frog's body. With a poof, the flame of chaos entered the giant frog's body and disappeared. However, Morong Yu's hand was bounced back by the giant frog's rebounding force. It was almost crushed. No effect. He slapped the giant frog and the flame of chaos entered the giant frog's body. However, the giant frog continued to fly forward as if nothing had happened. That's not right. Although the giant frog is flying, it doesn't seem to have any aura of life? Morong Yu suddenly frowned. At this moment, the giant frog that had been flying suddenly stopped. Like a toppled mountain, it fell to the ground and smashed a huge hole in the ground. There was no aura of life and no aura of soul. Morong Yu frowned slightly and took a step forward. His divine telekinesis that was as vast as the ocean came out of his body and enveloped the giant frog. There were no injuries on the giant frog's body. Every part of its body was in peak condition and filled with explosive power. There are no injuries. How did it die suddenly? Morong Yu frowned slightly and his divine telekinesis entered the giant frog's soul space. Then, he knew the cause of death of the giant frog. The giant frog's soul had been annihilated. The entire soul space was empty. Morong Yu even felt the remaining aura of the flame of chaos in its soul space. The flame of chaos has no effect on the physical body. It can only annihilate the soul. Although the giant sunbreak dark frog's soul wasn't very powerful, it was still a third-order saint. It couldn't even resist before it was annihilated. Murong Yu's heart was filled with shock, excitement, and joy. If I can make good use of it, the soul will be one of the greatest assassins in the holy world. Murong Yu's eyes shot out two beams of holy light. He suddenly wanted to roar out loud. Let's find some beasts to practice on. I'll try to discover more abilities of the soul as soon as possible. Murong Yu quickly took out the giant frog's Saint Nucleus. This third-level Saint Nucleus was equivalent to a few first-level Saint Nuclei. However, just as he was about to leave, Hichu suddenly said, "The giant frog's body also contains a large amount of energy. Don't waste it. Keep it." Murong Yu was surprised, but he quickly kept the giant frog's body into the Hichu Luoshu. Since Hichu said so, it was naturally useful, although he didn't know what use it was. After keeping the giant frog's body, Murong Yu continued to move deeper into the White Sun Mountain range. While hunting beasts for their Saint Nuclei, he also wanted to discover the abilities of the soul. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.